Where are the low-value men?
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site. You can believe that. You can believe that. You can believe that.
Contracted COVID, but says with a mixture of medicines, including the controversial horse dewormer that has poisoned hundreds of people nationwide, he's now recovered.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
From the headlines to the whispers dawn, low value mail, low value mail at 9 o'clock, where truth and fiction take a walk.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Our stories are.
Welcome back, everybody, to a brand spanking new episode of Low Value Mail on this Monday, June 29th, 2026. It's episode number 190, and this is the halfway point of the year, at least show-wise. I guess technically there's a couple more days. We have one more day of Pride. So if you're thinking about doing something real gay, you have 29 hours to do something incredibly gay. As always, there is a priority Patreon number for those of you that support the show. There's a US Canada number. I know I say this every week. I'm still working on the UK number. Zoom is absolute nightmare. It gives you a way better chance of getting through. It almost a guaranteed chance, and you get answered in a priority sequence, I suppose. I save the non-patrons for last, so you might want to sign up. As well, some of you don't know, some of you do know, I'm going to be doing episode number 5 of my Not Financial Advice live stream Wednesday morning. I'm not doing it tomorrow. I'm doing it Wednesday, as it's July 1st, first of the month. We'll have some more money current update. I lost it all. I did. I lost it all. I don't know what to say. I think there's like $6 in the account, maybe, from 825. Again, not financial advice. This is degenerate gambling. For those of you who don't know, I basically take the money that I make on Patreon and I put it into a Robinhood account, and I'm telling you, we're gonna be in the green, the black, whatever. Our timing was really bad. I was when on the live stream last week, I was going over it. The first installment of the live stream that we did, where I basically deployed some of the money, also coincided with the absolute most recent top in the S&P 500. And because I only went long and bought stuff, I got hammered. So join me Wednesday morning. We're going to have some more money, probably like close to $1,000, which is sweet, because I think like 25 people have signed up since I started doing this. So join for that if you're interested. It's closer to gambling. You know, we give some investment advice. We do some educational stuff if you're curious about this. But we just kind of hang out, and, you know, if you're a patron, you can go watch some of the old ones. Yeah, getting hammered though. And like I said, if for whatever reason we're ever in the black, I will disperse a portion of that money, a Danny dividend, going to maybe one or more lucky patrons. But again, we are currently down 99% or more. We might be down more than 99%. So you can join the Patreon, patreon.com/lowvaluemail, MAIL. You get access to our little group chat thing that we have. You get ad-free audio and video, which I think is worth the $5, but whatever. And then we get more money to gamble with. So we're doing that. All right, let's get to the show. Then we're going to open up the phone lines. Thank you, everybody, for sending jewels. I still don't know exactly what they are, but we'll see. All right, so I'm not sure how many of you have been keeping up. Socialism is coming to the United States. I was joking about this on, I did Fox News Saturday night. On Saturday night. We actually recorded it on Thursday night. It's not actually live, although we make it seem like it's live. The deception of television. We're doing it on Thursday night, and, you know, if any of you caught it, me and Jimmy were talking about how I literally left Canada, socialist hellhole, to move to New York City, which is now turning into a literal socialist hellhole. Just my luck. I also, this is unrelated to anything, met two of Donald Trump's grandkids in the green room, which was odd. Not going to lie. Lara Trump, Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, married to Eric Trump, and she has a show on Fox News. She was on the show with me. So she was in the green room with two of her kids who are literally, I didn't even piece it together until maybe 45 minutes in. I was kind of like talking to them. I was talking to these kids a little bit. And then I was like, oh shit, these are Donald Trump's grandchildren. That's pretty weird. There's also literally 10 to 12 Secret Service in there. So it wasn't a normal show by any stretch of the imagination. Crazy life where you literally cannot go out in public with 12 people. But, you know, I did think about it. I'm like, it is, you know, like these kids, the kids are probably like 6 and 4 maybe. Like there's a bunch of unhinged psychos in this country who would gleefully kill these children. Gleefully. So I guess you need all the security, but it was wild. Someone says, what was she doing in the green room? She was on the show. So she was on the show with me, and everyone was just saying the green room. She was there with her kids, who are Donald Trump's grandchildren. Bizarre. But they must have they probably don't really get the gravity of being Donald Trump's grandchildren quite yet. They're probably a little too young for it, but they will, and it's going to be a weird fucking life. Anyhow, to the show. So socialism is returning last week to the United States. Last week, 3 not even regular socialists. I don't even know quite the difference. 3 Democratic socialists won their primaries in New York State. 2 of them were for Congress. 1 was for the state Senate. The state Senate we care about less. I don't expect any of you non-New Yorkers to give a shit about that, nor should you. But 2 of them were congressional districts, and they won their primaries. Barring anything crazy, they will all be members. These 2 people will be members of Congress come November. Now, I will say, pretty smart move on their part, because basically if you're a Democratic candidate in New York State, it's a guaranteed victory, essentially. I don't know if there's any Republican Congress members from New York State. I don't know. Maybe there's one. I don't know. But for the most part, it's just a lock that once it comes time for the actual voting in November, if you are a Democrat, if you got a D in front of your name, you're a big winner, right? So smart move on their part. They go, you know what? We just need to win the primaries, which only registered Democrats are even allowed to vote in. If we just win the primaries, then we're guaranteed to win and go to Congress, right? So smart that they just were like, you know what, we don't even need to focus on winning the election. We need to focus on winning the primary, which they did. The 2 congressional candidates, Claire Valdez and Daria Liza Avila Chevalier, received only 37,000 and 33,000 votes respectively. So, you know, that's how many votes you need to get into fucking Congress if you're smart about it. Now, there are a number of other Democratic socialists who could find themselves in Congress come November in other places across the country. And you know what? Some of this does make sense. The rise of socialism, to be honest. Like when you have the left framing Trump as a fascist, when you're like, he's a fascist, right? Then it kind of makes sense that there'll be some, pendulum swing, and you're essentially like, if people are thinking that the president is far right, then it makes sense that people on the super far left will start getting elected, and they are. Now, again, it's 2 members of Congress. AOC makes it 3. I think Rashida Tlaib is 1, so that's 4. So we're not talking. Bernie Sanders is kind of on the fence. So we're not talking like a democratic socialist wave. It's certainly the beginning of a trend potentially. Chavez and Avila Chevalier literally make AOC seem reasonable in comparison. If you're wondering, I don't know how much you know about these 2 people. Sorry, I gotta adjust my thing here. But they literally make AOC seem pretty fucking reasonable. Both are basically communists, like actual communists, not like, oh, I read Marx when I was in college. Like, no, these are real communists. Avila Chevalier is a full communist, as indicated by her now deleted Twitter account. She complained that libraries didn't carry enough literature by Lenin, not John, and she wishes the complete work of Stalin would be more readily available at bookstores. Just if you're wondering what a few of what her platform looks like, she wants to abolish prison, police, and borders. Not defund. She wants to completely abolish. This is going to be someone who is sitting in Congress. Again, we were like, man, AOC and the squad, they're a bunch of nuts. This chick is putting them to fucking shame. She is literally quoted as saying she wants to end policing. Full stop, period. No more police at all, ever. She had some interview with someone, and they're asking about this murderer, and they're like, well, surely you think this murderer should go to jail. They murdered somebody. And she literally wouldn't say yes. She just a lot of commie gobbledygook, as Norm Macdonald said. No police ever. It is interesting because there's this new wave of the Democratic Party, these democratic socialists, who literally hate America. And they're not pulling any punches here. They hate America. Avila Chevalier called America a fucking disgrace. Those are her words, not mine. Which is, again, pretty common. It just is crazy. You would think, at minimum, you have to like be ambivalent about America. You go, you know what? It could be great. There's some things that need changing, but I don't hate the place. She hates the place. Also, she's recently Muslim. Take with that way you will. Wasn't born Muslim, just at some point was like, I'm Muslim now. She wants to seize the means of production, calling for nationalizing utilities, pharmaceutical companies, seizing all properties from landlords. My people, the landlords. Now, again, anybody with any common sense knows that the government nationalizing all utilities makes things worse, not better. Nationalizing pharmaceutical companies makes everything worse, not better. And nationalizing all properties. What other countries have nationalized all of their properties? Can you show me one where you go, that is a place that I would like to live? A lot of those places I go, I don't even know if I want a vacation in these fucking places. She called Joe Biden a rapist and war criminal, and then criticized Bernie Sanders and AOC for being too pro-Israel. AOC, too pro-Israel. AOC, too pro-Israel. She also said black and Arab men fetishize ugly colonizer women, and she is against interracial marriage. So, not all of her ideas are bad. She has some good ideas. Interracial marriage, that's a big no-no. We don't want to muddy the gene pool. This is what she says, right? She basically hates white women who mostly voted for her. Funny how that works. Now, I said when Mondami was elected, when he was kind of going through his thing. This is probably about this time last year, where he won the Democratic primary. But it wasn't a lock at that point. But definitely once he was elected, that, in my opinion, the greatest risk to this country would be that he actually does a good job. That's the thing that is most concerning to me about Mamdani, is that he does a good job, right? And then people will be like, what's the big deal with, why is everybody telling us that if we have socialism, it's going to be the end of everything? Seems like it's going okay. And look, as much as people want to hate on him, he's actually doing fine, okay? The Knicks are NBA champions. I don't think that has anything to do with him. Certainly he's going to take the credit for it somehow. He just got a rent freeze passed on 1 million rent-stabilized apartments. 40% of all, I don't know if they're 40% of all rent-stabilized apartments in New York City, meaning essentially that landlords can't increase rents on 1 and 2 year leases. So look, you just have to think of this logically. And I know that they don't come at this from a, logical perspective, but property taxes increase, inflation exists, it's increasing, maintenance, whatever, like insurance, like if an elevator breaks, you have to fix it. All this stuff, landlords cannot increase the rent. At least like in my former home in Ontario, in Canada, which is super restrictive, at least landlords can increase the rents by whatever inflation is. Like the government of Ontario says, here's what inflation is for this year. You can increase your rents this much, which seems, it's very much in the benefit of tenants, but you're like, at least that's reasonable, right? At least it factors in that, cost of everything increases all the time. It's literally how the system is built. So you're like, at least there's 2%, whatever, 3%, but it's something. Here it's 0. And look, let me be clear. I'm not the only person who says this. This is not going to work out. It may appear that it will work out, but it won't work out. It won't. It can't. It won't work out. Now, the thing is, it won't be clear that the damage this will cause. And it won't be super clear until the end of Mamdani's first term, maybe even later than that, right? Like this stuff takes a while. You don't flip a switch and you go, hey, no rent increases. And the next day, every landlord's like, I'm fucked. It's not how it works, right? It'll take some time. Like I was just reading actually before this that Sergey Brin, who is one of the founders of Google, who owned I don't know if he owned, but he was an investor in Manhattan real estate. He just exited his investment at 6 cents on the dollar, a 94% haircut. Because he, if you assume that this guy is pretty smart, has pretty good advisors, they were just like, this is not worth it. Just literally, this isn't even worth the hassle to be involved with. Just take whatever money you can get out of here. Just move on. Rent freezes do not work. The only thing that really ever works for bringing down real estate costs, rents, the price to own a home, which again is a big part of why these socialists are gaining ground here, is because obviously it is becoming very unaffordable to own property in this country. But the only thing that brings down real estate costs is increasing the supply. That's really it. And it works quite well. You just cut the red tape, you let people build, you bring supply, and that usually is a pretty effective mechanism to reduce costs, right? Rent freezes don't do that in the long run. But in the short run, I'm sure it will appear that they are working. I'm sure a lot of people who live in these rent-controlled apartments in New York City, who oftentimes are rich. That's the crazy thing with New York City, is there'll be people who live in these places that should be $4,000 a month and they pay $1,500 a month and they make $300,000 a year because it's not income based. It's just like, if you get it, you get it. So it will appear a lot of these people, and probably a lot of these people will be like, yeah, socialism is sick. My rent has not gone up in 2 years. This is fantastic. But a lot of times what happens is these landlords, my people, they don't maintain the properties because they're like, look, I'm not renovating this place if I can't increase the rents. Why would I do that? It's just common sense. Now the city's threatening where they go, okay, well then we're just going to take your place from you if you don't do that. So, the assumption, and look, don't get me wrong, some real estate people in New York City are filthy rich, right? They have so much fucking money. They are so rich. These, as much as there's these mom and pops, which there are a lot of them who just own like an apartment or they own a building with 2 or 3 apartments in them. And these are truly mom and pops. There are a lot of corporations who own, 100 units. Like the last time I lived on my own, before I moved in with the old ball and chain, I lived in a place like this. It was a walk-up building. It was on 14th Street in the East Village, and it was probably 18. I think it was like 18 units, and it was owned by like some giant company or whatever. Like they probably owned 20 of these buildings. But again, common sense. At some point, they go, "Hey, we can just make more money if we just sell this place, this whole building, and just put that money in the stock market, and we don't have to deal with any fucking hassles. We don't have to deal with late payments. The boiler explodes. We got to put a new roof on it." The building, my neighbor, not my neighbor in my building, but next door to me, they had an air conditioning unit fall out of their window because they didn't fix it properly. And I think it hit somebody. I don't think it killed them, but it's a nightmare to deal with. So, probably not going to work out well. Socialism, again, like a lot of this does, like I'm not caught off guard by this. Really, maybe the Mamdani thing caught me a little off guard, but this is less so because if you think about it, it's kind of just the opposite of MAGA, and while some people, are not concerned that a few candidates are getting into Congress, this could be the start of a dangerous trend for this country, unless you love socialism. And then you're like, no, this is actually great. And again, there is a reason why Mamdani and the socialists all get elected. One, they oppose Israel, which is very popular right now. The notion that's, they're just like, yeah, we oppose Israel. So people go, all right, love it. And again, housing affordability in general is just a real problem in this country. I'm not sure this is something that the Trump administration can fix, especially after starting the Iran war in such a short period of time. Maybe they can. Probably, I don't know. I was reading something by the guy who wrote the tariff paper. He's finally allowed to talk about it. And he was kind of saying like these tariffs are here for good. They're actually great for the country. It's a little above my pay grade, so I don't know. He's pretty smart, and he's like, no, they're actually good. But again, he would say that. And look, maybe regular left-wing people will reject socialism, maybe. But MAGA was a different brand of conservatism. It wasn't your standard stodgy conservatism. And it was widely embraced. Everybody loved it. They go, you know what? We need something new. We need whatever we've been doing. We want a new version of this, a more extreme version, you would say. The notion that a Republican president prior to Trump would ever swear was unheard of. You would never hear a Republican president swear. They go, we're doing it differently. So could this be bad? I don't know. Will it be bad? Probably. We're still waiting on Gerard. He might be dead. Let's see if I haven't heard from him. Let me text him. Normally he's here by now, but sometimes he has computer problems. So we might have to be doing this the old-fashioned way. I hope you guys have a lot of fun things planned for July 4th. Canada will be playing either Morocco or the Netherlands in Houston. on. All right. Well, we're gonna open the phone lines, but Gerard's not here, so we're gonna have to do this old school. Phone lines are open. 1-347-391-6995. There's an American and a Canadian number for those of you who celebrate those things. Oh yeah, it's also Canada Day on Wednesday. Not like any of you give a shit. All right, before I get to the calls, and I guess I'm gonna have to be answering them because Gerard is completely disappeared. Not great. Do you think he's alive or he's dead? I'm going to say he's probably not with us anymore. Sorry. So because Gerard's not here, I'm going to do this the old way, but it means that some of you, there's no queue until he arrives. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Probably his computer's all fucked. His computer froze. Hold on. Let's give him a minute. He says he just opened the Zoom app. Before I get to your calls, if you would like to join the list of very important scrotes that you see at the beginning of this show, which will be updated for the next episode, I update it every month. You can join the $10 tier here on YouTube or on Patreon, patreon.com/lowvaluemail. Patreon is preferred. YouTube takes upwards of 50% of the money, which is insane, but they do. If you're already a member, you can upgrade. And again, you get ad-free audio, access to the group chat, and these DGen, and you get to fund the DGen streams as long as those go for. I mean, there's certainly a potential where we're 6 months into this, and I'm just like, man, I just blew $6,000, and I have nothing to show for it, and maybe I stop it. But for now, it's fun. I don't think we're just gonna blow up the account every month. But I'm going to do my darndest not to anyways. And as always, you can support the show without money by liking the stream. You can share it with a friend. You can leave a comment. You can follow on Spotify. For the love of God, please subscribe to this channel. I can't believe we don't have 10,000 subscribers on this channel. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But it's what it is. All right. And I have a few more tour dates coming up on this leg. I'll have more announced in the fall. But for now, the final tour dates are Tacoma, Spokane, and Atlantic City in July. You can get your tickets at dannycomedy.com or punchup.live/DannyPolishuk. All right, Gerard is still not here. So let's go. I don't even, how do I do this? Okay, bear with me. Hold on.
Hello?
Hey, one sec. We got to merge you into the thing.
Okay.
1 second. There we go. Oh, no, I gotta unmute him. There we go. Are you there? Cole from Peoria.
Hi, Danny.
How you doing, pal?
I'm good. Can you hear me? Or,
yep, loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, socialism. I wanted to talk about that if you want to.
Yes. It's the
official
topic
let's pull
of
off
the night.
Well, let's pull off our gloves here. I'm University of Chicago economist, so
okay.
I'm not a Keynesian. Fuck those guys.
Okay. Fair. What is the main distinction between the University of Chicago and the Keynesians?
Well, the Keynesians are they're from out east. So the basic idea with economics was always you have there's the government, which has the monopoly on violence, and then it allows a certain amount of the economy to work so that it can scale, and then the government tries to stay away from that so that the economy scales while it feeds off of that and doesn't interrupt that. So that's why with taxes, if you tax too much, then you end up eating something that you end up getting less tax and and hampering the economy. And
Gotcha.
So that's where the people don't understand that. It's like Keynesians think that there's no problem with central control. It's just you have to do it intelligently.
Yeah.
Which is to some extent is true. But then it's like I forget what the name. It was the teacher of the one guy the one black fellow who's always writing all the books. Thomas
Sowell.
Thomas Sowell. His teacher was
what, Milton
the
Friedman?
head of that. Milton Friedman. So Friedman's kind of stupid the other way because he doesn't think you need like government. He's just like, yeah, people just exchange on price.
Right.
And so I think the question is usually like, in a capitalist system, we always allow people to explore new avenues and use price as a way to translate values. Meanwhile, central planning, like Mamdani is basically saying, we're going to price fix your rent. And I do have a story on that with somebody I was working with who was a landlord in Illinois.
Sure, let's hear it.
Where they, so in 2000, they put a rent eviction moratorium up, which is
this was
basically
COVID,
saying you can't kick anybody out.
Yeah, this was COVID related though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think
But,
they had
so
those
imagine
kind
for,
of
like,
everywhere, but yeah, go ahead.
They had them everywhere for sure, but all it amounts to is, so for like 2 years, you can't kick anybody out, so you have to keep paying taxes and nobody owes you rent. Or they owe you rent.
That is like
they don't have to pay it.
Yeah, that's like the
They don't have to pay
Goldilocks scenario too, because like a lot of these, landlords, like they have a mortgage. Like it's not even just, hey, I have to pay the property taxes. You're like, I have a mortgage.
Well,
like,
at that point, correct. I mean, you're at the mercy of your landlord at that point. So if you got somebody who's like a real dickhead, I mean, they won't fix anything. Because why? Why would they?
Yeah. I mean, it seems logical.
Well, and that's what Mamdani's doing, right? He's engaging in this central planning. He's saying the price of this thing is non-negotiable. We're going to set it because we're the government, and you guys don't have a choice. Meanwhile, we're not freezing taxes. We're not freezing anything else.
I mean, property taxes, he's talking about
like,
increasing them. He was talking about a 9.5% increase in property taxes.
Right. So it's like, I mean, imagine you're standing there at the sandwich shop and then you ask for a sandwich and it's like price is increased, amount of ingredients is decreased. And then they're doing that as they sold you the previous sandwich. And when you say no, they just put a gun to your head and say, give me whatever's in your wallet. You're going to get whatever I decide you get.
Yeah.
And that's central planning kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But central planning requires that you know how everything works and what it is priced at, but you don't, so it's not going to work.
Yeah,
and I
not
think
only
in Russia
that,
and other
but,
places it takes 4 times as long.
Yeah, and like in terms of like New York City, for example, like I don't live in a rent-controlled unit. My unit is like a whatever market rate, I guess. Even though it is like I live in a newer building, so the way it works in New York City is like when a building goes up, a portion of the units, like maybe a quarter of them, are rent controlled. And they're part of like the New York City lottery, which I understand because they're like, we have to make it affordable for people to live there. But like I essentially subsidize their rent. And because my rent is uncapped, they could just say, hey, like your rent because of.
I definitely struggle with the idea that the idea that it should be affordable to live in New York City is pretty laughable.
I agree.
It's literally a zero-sum game. Like there's only so much space on the island. Like there's no other argument for, like, Los Angeles looks way different because it has lots and lots of land and they build on it and the property values are still fucked up. But you're just like, I don't know what in anybody's right mind they sit there and say living in New York should be affordable. You're like, well, relative to the fact it's an island with a fixed number of people, it's really one of the most expensive places to live on the planet.
And it's one of the most desirable places to live, like in the world. Like people all over the world
exactly.
are like, I want to live in New York City.
So why should it be? Right. So why should it be affordable?
I mean, I'm telling you, it's
for
not.
Who?
So,
like, what does that mean? What does it mean for something to be affordable? It's
right.
Like, in New York, is it affordable? Is it affordable in Kansas? Like, I don't know.
I mean,
that's
look,
the whole question is price.
I'll go on the road, and whenever I'm on the road doing stand-up, sometimes I'm in the Uber, and I'll just pull up Zillow just out of curiosity, just to see, like, from the airport to my hotel, like, what properties are like. And there's lots of places in this country that are quite affordable. Now, I'm sure the wages are not the same as New York City wages. Like, if you work at a McDonald's in Times Square, you probably make like $25 an hour just because, they talk about minimum wage. But
there's a few factors that have affected this that I think are important. Post-pandemic, I think the idea, like, we're getting right back from, like, work from home kind of violated the premise of society as we know it, because people live in New York to work the big bank jobs. But it's like, okay, what if I could just live in a trailer in Arkansas and do the same job?
Of course. I mean, that was the work for
Right.
like,
Why would I live in New York?
I mean, you are brain dead if you are making New York City wages and living in New York City doing work from home. That is insane.
Right. Insane. Like, exactly. So a lot of these millennials and Gen Zers had it in their mind they could work from home and not work in the city. And now it's like, well, the wage in the city is tied to the lifestyle of the city. It's tied to what prices are in the city, right? That's the whole point of the wage.
Of course.
Right. I guess the thing that I've got a couple things here on socialism that I want to hear your side of, because I'm not from Canada, but I am from Illinois, which whatever. I guess with socialism, the first thing you said is that there's this, that there's all these people joining socialism. And honestly, I think this is like just a drip pan underneath that, like the Democrats right now. I think they've lost total coherency because like they'd been on shaky water because honestly, like back in the day, they used to be the party of the people, right? 40% of the workers. Now that's down to like 10%. And they've just been picking up grassroots wherever they can find it. And no one agrees whether we should be like gay or black or trans or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, that's not really a party. Like they've got numbers because they were nice to people, but then it's like, what do you stand for? All of a sudden you've got people saying, oh, we've got a better idea over here. We've got socialism. We've got communism.
Right.
And I think that's the weirdest shit for me is even Andrew Yang, you guys had him on the other day, and he's on this front too, where he's trying to he's basically trying to pick up all of these disenfranchised Democrats.
I mean, the Democratic Party.
So I don't see the rise of socialism. I see the degradation of the Democrats, I guess.
Sure. I mean, the thing is after the election in 2024, like the Democratic Party seemed pretty rudderless. Like they didn't really seem to have some kind of North Star of what they were, and they've kind of just been floundering around. So this is kind of the first thing where you go, hey, maybe this is what we are. And again, you've seen it in other countries where
that may be that's better than that's better than like them all looking and realizing like we don't stand for anything. Like we just got this flag and corporations aren't going to pay for it anymore. So we've kind of lost the momentum and we're all getting scalped. And that's exactly what's happening. So you're like, the thing with Andrew Yang, I think everybody needs to understand, even though I liked watching the episode, Yang is a communist. He's a socialist. Like that.
Yeah. He reminds me closer. So like the way Canada, like I would describe, because Canada's not really.
I mean, even libertarians are communists and socialists.
Right. Like Canada's not really like a socialist country per se. It's a capitalist.
Well, no, you guys are like
with a lot of socialist policies.
Well, you guys are geographically distinct because you guys are like you're very mercantile because you're used to dealing in like large groups across regions, and it's usually for like large payloads of stuff or to make sure something happens. Like Canadians are pretty no nonsense when it comes to like government, and it's usually incidental to their business. It's like a logging deal or something major.
Right. Or like a dairy.
And it's very practical. I think that was that more painful for you to watch where it's like you have a country with eminently like very practical kind of like mercantile focused politics. And then Trudeau walks in and he just like, it's a total clown show. Like all of a sudden, like you go from something that makes total sense to just like basically copying whatever the Americans are doing. I don't know. Like it was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he set that country back. Like if you just go look at it, like the economic growth of that country, and he set it back. Now, I will say Mark Carney is much better at the economic side of the equation than him. He's probably better all around because I think.
Well, he's not a celebrity.
He's not a celebrity. Two, I think he realized, like he's smart enough to realize, he goes, this is not the correct path for the country. Like with a lot of the crazy, like super wokeist policies, I guess. I mean, I was watching I was watching the Canada, who were they playing on the South Africa yesterday, and I watch it on a Canadian network because like I have like Canadian feeds. And now when you watch Canadian television, like, which I can't believe, there's all these ads that come on where they're like, we're building, this is from the Ontario government, this isn't a federal thing, but it's like, we're building more prisons. we're putting people in jail. Like, you would think this is like MAGA shit, to be honest. Like, and they do have a conservative in charge of Ontario, but like, they're like, we're building more prisons. We're making everything safer.
It's literally the only thing that makes sense anymore. Like, I know everybody keeps talking about the mental health crisis, but if you do the examination on, like, I know we can bitch about it all day and we feel this place of empathy, but it's like you literally can't pay nurses to leave the hospice and go deal with some crazy giant guy. I was like, why would I do that for any amount of money? Yeah. Unless it was a lot. And it's like the only amount of money that matches it is prison. And guess what we got?
Yeah.
I'm happy he's going down that road, right?
Yeah. And nurses in Canada, like, famously, they, a lot of them move to the US because they're like, I can make twice as much money.
Yeah, they're like, I am not about to get paid the same to go like you have some like twink, or you have like all the women in the twinks over there dealing with hospice, like geriatrics, and you got to go like wrangle in like some like, crazy 6 foot guy on meth and heroin with needles sticking at him, and you're like, I don't want to. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. I mean, Canada is such a good example for the United States because you can literally, it's similar enough and you can see where they went wrong and to not reproduce those mistakes, which is why I guess I find it. Now, granted, all these these democratic socialists are all in New York, which is probably one of the most unaffordable places in the country. Like, they're all, one of them. And I think maybe that's the problem for them is they are like, I've encountered people like this. They're usually like trust fund kids, or they're just shielded by some degree of wealth. And I think they don't really realize how much money they're floating on top of. That to me seems, they kind of take money for granted, if that makes sense. And that's the kind of mentality where you see all this money and you start to take it for granted, right? Yeah.
And that's where you start getting these dangerous ideas where you say, surely we have enough. Surely this could go on. Like, surely there's so much here that we could never run out of it. But that's the kind of view that's like, a philosopher is not a logistics expert, right? That's why Marx is such a... I kind of wanted to rip on communism a little bit here.
Yeah, let's hear it.
To your point, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, just for anybody that's on the call, like, I think it's a little understated how much communism pisses Danny off and pisses me off so as much. Well.
I mean, it's ingrained in me from my parents.
It's not even, for a reason, and here's why. Central planning is great, but it makes everything, you get one version of a thing, which very well might be the best version of that thing, but it costs 4 times as much to make and it's 4 times as long to make it, and if you get one, and that's depending on whose dick you suck.
Yeah, I mean, look, my parents, my mom tells me the story all the time. It's just like kind of a funny thing now, but like when she was a kid in Soviet Russia, if you were walking down the street and you saw a line of people, you just got in it. You didn't know what it was for, but you knew you wanted it.
You knew it if enough people were standing in it. It's a sunk cost fallacy, kind of, almost.
Yeah, it was something you wanted, and if you saw a line, you just joined the line because you were just like, whatever that is, I probably want it, and I'll wait for fucking 2 hours.
And that's desperation, right? That's the exact kind of situation we looked at Britain and said, nah, we don't do that. But the Russians have nowhere else to go except Siberia, or Canada apparently. The thing with communism so central planning is the big thing. So central planning is over there and prices are over here. Like, capitalism functions on prices. We allow people to make decisions and do a black box model. Communism and all this stuff, central planning, let's just say, is the economic model, which is the basis of socialism and communism. Most governments that have communism in Russia, communism in China is central planning. And the thing is, I'll talk about how that breaks down for a lot of people.
To be honest, I will say, like, when people talk about communism, they're like, it's never been done correctly. China is the closest example.
Well, it has been done correctly. That's the problem.
Well, I'm sorry, not correctly, but I guess successfully. Like China, we could be having a different conversation a long time from now, but China's like the closest where you're like, they've kind of figured this out with like a blend of like capitalism and communism.
No. I mean, so the issue is like communism as an idea, right? Karl Marx was hanging out in France. He had been ejected from Germany because nobody liked him. And then, or he was watching things happen, all these labor riots happen in France and England and Germany where things were being automated, right? So then he writes, he teams up with Engels and writes the Marx-Engels Reader, and then the Communist Manifesto, and then he wrote Das Kapital, which was a treatise on economics.
Yeah.
The only thing, like the only points Marx really has is to say that people become, over time, eventually markets become so good, they become so specialized that people become disassociated from their labor. They become alienated from their own labor, and they don't get the point of it anymore. And they're saying eventually, and it creates this huge discrepancy in wealth, and then people see that, and then they fight. And they fight and they take it. And he said this was class struggle. Now the issue is this idea, he saw this play out in France and in England a few times. So that's communism working out, quote unquote. Communism as a rule, Marx and Engels are just saying, eventually these capitalists are going to fuck up, and you guys need to be ready, like almost like a union, ready to like jump on them and take everything from them that you can, and then dissolve what they have and own the means of production, and then you'll be in charge. And so it is an envy logic. But the thing that Marx forgets is this got implemented in places where the Industrial Revolution wasn't happening. It became class struggle in places like China and Russia, where there was no industrial revolution. There was just a bunch of people who wanted to murder each other.
Right, and it was just because I mean
communism,
seizing the means of production, like the notion of it that some guy who's like the janitor at a factory knows how to run the business is laughable.
That's not the argument, but their argument never really settles on anything, so I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
All I'll say is Marx and the rest of these guys, what makes them dangerous, Marx is a whiner. He is a disenfranchised whiner, and just sees somebody doing something that he can't do and says, I'm going to use everybody around here who passed me on the back to kill you and take your shit.
Yeah.
And that is, when we say communism has never been successfully done, what I say is, no, that is what communism is. It is fascism with the kickoff being class struggle.
Yes.
Because in every case that Marx describes, or what Marx describes is incoherent as a society. It's like people forget he says we will have wives in common, like they were motorcycles. Crazy. That we would all drive around together. So all these women that you're talking to, they love the idea that you and your buddies are all going to take a ride.
In practice,
and maybe that's what gets them hot. Yeah. We're all going to share, baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Right.
Women love communism because they're whores. Anyway, so the thing with communism is it is tyranny. Like the kickoff for it is to say, hey, by the way, does your society, is it full of wealth? Is there like huge alienation from labor? You could like throw that off and try and seize the means of production and then establish your own totalitarian fascist government.
Yeah.
At which point, if you say that's what communism is, which by my reading as a graduate, that's what it is.
Seems about right.
Communism has happened multiple times. Now, let's talk about the effects of communism, Danny. Let's talk about when Soviet Russia got kicked off, and with Lenin, I forget what it's called, the Holodomor?
Yeah, the Holodomor.
And then when the Holodomor, it's like, what, 10 million dead, 12 million? Something. And then in China, when they kicked off I had a friend who grew up in China during the revolution. And one day he said he came home and he smelled a sour smell on the wind. And he did not hear the bark of his dog running up the road to meet him. And as he walked past his neighbor's home, he knew that they were starving, and he never saw his dog again.
Right.
And so these are the experiences I think maybe your parents went through.
Yeah, I mean, they know that it sucks. It's the thing is the notion that like I get all these poor people who are seeing, especially in New York City, where like the rich people are so rich here. Like they just had what was the crazy? Oh yeah, like the NBA Finals. People are paying $5,000, $10,000 for a ticket. It's $2,000
Yeah,
to go to a World Cup game. Like, everything here is so expensive, and the demand is so high because there's a giant cohort of people here who are so rich, the money is meaningless. Where there's another cohort of people who they're like, yeah, I live in a 3-bedroom apartment with 5 people, like all just strangers. It's super common here. And they're like, yeah, like, what do I have to lose? The only thing is that even if all this stuff goes into effect, like, you're not going to be better off. Like, you're still going to be like, it's not like you're all of a sudden living on fucking Park Avenue. Like, you're still living in some shithole in Brooklyn.
So I think the overall thing everybody needs to understand is that people will always find a way to fuck each other over, because it's just how we work. That's a social game we play.
Yeah.
Now, to connect the two places of moving from one to another, I'll tell you my side of somebody I know who was Polish, and they lived in the USS. Their parents lived in the Polish bloc in one of those Soviet satellites. I think it was Warmia.
Okay.
And so right after Chernobyl went up and they started just sending tablets in the mail, this guy, his dad, he was an economist instructed by the Russians, and he had been trying to change his business multiple times because they had just been fucking the Polish over, and he couldn't figure out what he should do. And so they finally, like, after they send him the iodine pills to, like, deal with the, there's like some gland in your throat. But you take it and it doses it and then absorbs the radiation and you pass it. But after that, like, it freaked them out, and they're like, we need to get out of here. So they came to Chicago and started working as electricians, But the thing is, I was interested, and I started talking to the man because he was an economist. But he was trained under the Russian model, which is central planning, all this stuff, like, things are very expensive, or you don't really know what things cost, but you have this way of doing things. And so he ended up in America, in Chicago, going in and purchasing a loan from a bank, purchasing a large, like, rental or condominium space, and then renting it out. And so the gimmick here was, meanwhile, they're like, if any of them don't have citizenship or something, they're leaning on other people in the community who are more established to provide it. And those people will expose you totally to credit in the market, regardless of the fact you're in a ghetto. And so it's like, you have people paying 14 to 15% on their loans for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like within Polish communities and within immigrant communities. So when we say, like, people are wondering where all the money goes. Oh yeah, totally. But loan sharking, as well as contracting and all this other stuff. So the way that they had leveraged this was they had this whole complex where they just keep scalping the bank for refinancing to get rent off of them. They're getting rent off the people, and they never have any intention of leaving the loan. So it's stolen capital to buy the investment because you're in a black market, and then you just hedge it. Now, guess what happens when your bank finds out you're doing this to them?
They try to prosecute you, I imagine.
No more loans. Do you think they'll approve you for another loan?
No, hell no.
Hell no. So all of a sudden, like, they're moving everybody out, trying to sell the place to try and resolve this issue with the bank and figure out what the hell they're doing wrong. But I'm like, structurally, they were taught how to be criminals.
Yeah.
Within the Soviet system, that's how it works. So it's like, at the same time, like, Illinois is leveraging, like, stuff on this friend of mine where they're saying, like, by the way, you are now owning 14 properties. You're paying taxes on them. You're mowing the lawn. You're fixing all the boilers. You're doing everything. And it's not like he has some centralized building that's nice. He has to go from town to town, deal with all these people who are abusing the properties in some redneck borough. And regardless, and then it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's dangerous, and it's filthy work. And the thing is, if you can't collect rent from those people for 2 years,
yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's tons of people over COVID who just had to walk away from their places.
But here's where the conflict comes in with ICE. So in Illinois and other places where we see, like, people are really polarized on one issue or of this or the other. But the reality is, all of these Polish contractors that I know living out of Chicago, they had one guy who owned some things. His tenants ambushed him, trying to steal his tools and everything. And basically, they were drug addled, or who knows.
Yeah.
He's not a citizen. So what he had to do, he had to keep like a loaded sandbag gun on him. He shot them both with it and escaped. And was like, and he's like, I'm not fixing but he can't go to the cops.
Right.
These guys called the feds on him, and he got dragged away to a detention center for 2 weeks. And basically, they put a bond on him. So it's like he essentially got ransomed by our government for $20,000 because two of our better citizens decided they tried to rob him, and it didn't go well.
Yeah.
So it's like, for every person that we see getting shipped out of this country, we're watching people we've grown up with, worked with, who are trying to figure out, their own broken systems at the same time. I mean, our Fed is just walking up and grabbing them and shaking out their pockets and taking $20,000 from them at a pop and saying, maybe you paid your taxes, maybe you didn't. I don't care.
We're getting a taste. All right, Cole, I got to let you go. I got some more callers. But
all right.
Good talking
Good luck, Danny.
Cole from Peoria, everybody. I was just looking, we were talking about, there's in Toronto a few years ago, I remember during COVID, there was a proudly anti-capitalist cafe called The Anarchist opened. It was an anti-capitalist cafe, grand opening, grand closing. Of course it closed. Hold on, okay, I guess Gerard's not coming, so that sucks. I guess his computer issues are not going to get fixed. All right, hold on a second. Hello, you're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
What is going on, Danny, my buddy?
What's happening? This is Jacob.
Yes, sir, from your old friend of Brainerd, Minnesota.
What's up, man?
Oh, man, you guys been going over some heavy stuff, talking about the greater meanings of what capitalism, socialism, how things actually work. I fucking love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned. Again, I feel like America is there's a maybe an optimistic part of me that thinks America can never go down this socialist path. That you'll always have some fringe.
Oh, we're already there.
I mean, comparatively to other countries,
comparatively, yeah, we're not. Sweden.
We don't even have. But
we're close.
We don't even have socialized healthcare here, so. Which
I think it's almost a good thing, but it has so many drawbacks, and our system is so if we had the Canadian healthcare system, but without the American pharmaceutical costs, it might be better. Who fucking knows?
I mean, look, I can tell you the Canadian, I've said this before, the Canadian system is great if you're not very sick. If you
don't need a kidney right now, you're good.
Or if you don't need a surgery or an MRI tomorrow, if you're just I get a cold from some time to time, maybe I get some weird thing and I just need to go get it checked out, but it's nothing too major. It's good. If you need I know, or my parents know somebody who needed an MRI for something, and Canada, here, if you have good insurance, you need an MRI. They're we'll get you an MRI in most places. I'm sure there's smaller places where there's maybe more of a lag, but in New York City, if I need an MRI and I have decent insurance, they're we'll get you an MRI this week. Canada, they're we'll get you one in 9 months from now. And so there are a lot of Canadians who because most Canadians live within, 100 kilometers of the border, the U.S. border. They just drive down to the U.S., pay $1,000 for costs.
Base by base need at that point.
Yeah, and they just get an MRI. And, the notion is you're well, it's free, but you're it's not free because you pay tons of taxes. But again, I pay as much in taxes in New York City as I do in Canada, and I don't have healthcare. So I don't know. But if you're really sick, you don't want to get really sick in Canada.
Yeah, so it's a give and take. It's not as every good. Single
it's
system
not
you go
you're
through.
Just dying, but it's not quite as good. You don't my friend had his rotator cuff, tore his rotator cuff, needed a surgery. This was 20 years ago. He had to wait a year for the surgery.
Yeah, suffer and pain. Good luck trying to lift things.
Hey, it's they're just
eat a dick, bitch.
Yeah, you can live with a torn rotator cuff, and we'll get to it when we can.
Now, the previous caller mentioned, he didn't give an exact quote, but he was talking about how it was either Marx or some famous communist was talking about, like, oh yeah, everything will be shared, even husbands and spouses. Women will just be bicycles that men will just ride or whatever. Now, do you know what I'm talking about when it comes to? I think it was Stalin might have been interviewed with somebody or something, and they said, well, casual sex should be as free as drinking a glass of water with somebody or sharing a glass of water with somebody. And his response was, but who wants to drink out of a dirty glass? That's the best one right there.
I've never
come across. All right, that's fair. That's fair. Now we can both look that up after this and then put another feather in our cap for funny sayings regarding communism and everything. But when it comes to,
I mean, I feel you live in Minnesota, right? Like, you're in Minnesota, or
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
I feel
Brainerd,
like
Minnesota, Central.
I feel like socialism is probably like that's one of the states where, especially with all the bullshit that's happened, like I don't know if you guys have a socialist candidate, but I can certainly see that being popular there.
Tim Walz? Are you kidding me?
But like,
he's a fucking moron. I don't think he's anything.
Well, but that's
he's just
the thing
a moron.
Yeah, but he's not like full. I'm talking about people who are like, I am a democratic.
Exactly. Yeah, like Mamdani. We don't have a Mamdani here. We just have
Jacob Fry.
What is her name? The Somali senator that everybody loves to use as a punching bag.
Yeah, what's her name?
Not Kamal Harris, not AOC. You know who I'm talking about, though.
I know.
We get that. She represents a lot of fraud.
She's a congresswoman. What's her name? Fucking, I can't.
Congresswoman, yeah.
Yeah, the
Somali
one.
She's actually getting into a lot of shit now with all this Somali fraud going on because she's actually,
Ilhan
the
Omar.
people at the top, like.
I don't even
Ilhan
think,
Omar, yeah.
I don't even think she considers herself like a I think she's just like a Democrat. I don't even think she considers herself like full Democratic socialist. Does she?
But she sure votes like one.
Yeah, probably.
It's like when people call Trump a rhino. Yeah, duh. He was a Democrat up until like the late 90s.
Yeah, of course. Right.
Yes, I voted for Trump in 2016. I only voted once in my entire life. I've been old enough to vote since 2008, and I still have just been like, no, I'm good. Yeah. And then I saw Hillary versus Trump, and I was just like, I know enough about conspiracy theories that Hillary is basically the devil incarnate, possibly a Satanist, and she is possibly a very evil human being, but I don't know her. So I'm going to actually put my vote in for Trump because I don't know anything about this guy. And then he started bombing in Syria, and I went, fuck, here we go again.
Yeah, but that was going to happen anyways. Whoever...
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
What were you saying?
I said that was going to happen regardless of who you voted for. It's not.
Yeah, the military. I just came across a guy who was talking about. He didn't even break it down into just the military-industrial complex. He broke it down into the financial-industrial complex, the military-industrial complex, and the technological-industrial complex. He broke it down into multi-facets, and I was like, "You're blowing my mind right now. I've never heard of anybody talking about this." But it all, I've been studying, I love me some Ron Paul. I love me some Peter Schiff, good Austrian economics versus Keynesianism and modern monetary systems. Fuck everything but basic math. Economics is really not that complicated until you get into derivatives and different loan standard. Like when you're a company that gives out loans, you have to formulate. It's kind of like that one movie where the guy has to figure out life expectancy and give people life health insurance on that, and he's just like, well, you have a 35% dying in the shower, slipping and falling if you're this much overweight. It's like, no. Well, you don't have to get in that far into the weeds just to look at basic math. Do you make more than you spend? Do you tax more than what the average person can handle, et cetera, et cetera? If the math doesn't add up, you're just looking at a system being like, how the fuck do all these people at the top think that we can handle all this at the bottom? This doesn't make any sense. And then you look at the math and you're like, Yeah, they're fucking us over. Duh.
What do you do for work again? Do you work?
I work at a fucking diner, dude.
Right?
I
so what is like affordability like for you where you live?
I moved here in 2019.
Okay.
My rent started at $600. I started working there for like $15 an hour.
Okay.
But like every time I hit a mile marker, what's that?
Do you get tips?
I do not. I started out as I actually went from Morris, Minnesota, which is like a 5,000 person small town, college town that has a U of M there.
Okay.
And I was just working several jobs and selling weed on the side to try to keep up with everything. And then my old boss from my Italian diner that burned down magically, I think it was the owner who probably sabotaged that shit.
Italian Lightning?
But no. It's called. What's funny is they call it Bella. It was called Bello Cucina, Cuchina, and Bello Cucina means war kitchen. Like bello is war or something in Italian. And the only reason they chose that name was because there was already a Bella Cucina, which means beautiful kitchen.
In this tiny town?
Yeah.
But so your rent is what do you live in a studio?
No, I live in Brainerd now. I moved here in 2019. My rent started at $600 in a one-person apartment, and
one bedroom.
One bedroom, really big living room and kitchen, but one bedroom.
So you have a one-bedroom apartment and you when did you move there?
2019.
A
year before
one-bedroom
COVID.
apartment
It was great.
in 2019 was $600 a month.
Yeah, I found a really good deal because of the owner of the restaurant I work at is, he's like 65 years old. He's got connections all over the place. And I was like, I moved here for work because they needed help. And I was like, hey man, I'm just living here in Morris. Everything is bullshit here. So I moved here in 2019 for $600 a month. And then I started out as a cook in the kitchen, brand new, for $15 an hour. And then like every month or two, they're like, wow, you're improving. Here's a 50-cent raise. Wow, you're improving. Here's a $1 raise. And then they went, all right, well, we'll teach you this part and this part and this part and this part. Hey, we think you'd be really good to be a manager. And now I'm working for $25.50 an hour, and my rent is only $700 after 7 years.
Okay, so
I'm doing pretty fucking good.
Dude, you have a one-bedroom apartment, $700 a month. That is so cheap.
Yeah, it's pretty shitty.
My New York brain. If you saw how people lived in New York City, paying $2,000.
I look at other prices, it blows my fucking mind.
$2,000. The thing is, there's people who live here who legitimately make who make $25 an hour. Just like you, and they live in places that are way shittier and way more expensive. Now they're like, well, you live in New York City, but still $700. So you basically, and you work 40 hours a week?
Well, I don't work a solid full 40 unless it's demanded of me. Like during summer, like right now, I'm working anywhere from 35 to 45 hours a week, depending on what we need.
Okay.
And I also get double time, like 1.5 times when I'm working over 40. So it's just like, it all averages out to pretty good fucking money.
Yeah.
And
the math certainly checks out. Like your rent is probably like a fifth of your probably after tax take home, I would guess, something around there.
Yeah, a fourth, a fifth, close to that. Yeah,
something like that.
So I'm just straight up chilling here, dude. Like I can just keep replaying this until shit changes. But I keep seeing shit change. Also, one other thing, food costs. How much do these motherfuckers on average pay for food? I work at a diner where I get one free meal for every shift, and if I work a double shift, I get 2 meals. Okay. And I'm one of those weird intermediate fasting. Ketogenic focused guys where I'm like, I try to eat mostly meat, cut off sugar, cut off bread as much as possible. Yeah, I'll occasionally have like a Reuben sandwich or something like that. But for the most part, I'm eating pretty fucking healthy. and it's on the business dime, you know, like I don't have to pay for my
So it sounds
burger
So it sounds like you're doing, you know, assuming, you know, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, I don't want to live in Brainerd, Minnesota, but it seems like, you know, if you live in a lot of like, you know, you don't work some fancy job. You do a good job at the job you work at. You do a good job at it, and you live fairly comfortably. It sounds like you're not like, doesn't sound like you're stressed out.
Oh no! The biggest stress is all in my head. That's I go home and the worst part is I don't really know a lot of people around here. Ever since I moved here in 2019, I tried to go out, you know, to the local bars or scenes or something like that, or talk to people and go to places and meet people. And then 2020 hit, and it's all just been fucking downhill from there. Right. Like the bars are empty, everything's garbage, nobody wants to talk to each other, everybody's just staring at their fucking phones. Society is just completely atomized. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Mm-hmm. Back in Morris, in 5,000 person town, I could literally just walk 6 blocks down to the local bar and meet up with like a dozen people that all know who I am and I know who all they are, and we just all have a good time having a couple drinks. Like, oh wow, woo!
What's the population of Brainerd?
It's 14,000 in the winter, and then bumps up to maybe about like 60,000 in the summertime.
Just like people vacationing.
Okay, so the thing about Brainerd is that I live in like dead center of one of the greatest areas for lake resorts.
Okay.
And also, people come from all over the fucking world to come and golf here.
Gotcha.
For some godforsaken reason. Like, we have some of the best golf courses, so we have all these like upper echelon people who have summer homes who come here to visit. And then we also have the Brainerd International Raceway, which is like a mile and a half from my work, which is, you know, like when drag races and NASCAR is going on, people are coming here like balls to the wall. So all of a sudden we go from like small town nothingness to all of a sudden in summertime we're just roads are full.
It's a tourist.
Yeah, it's a seasonal thing. It's a tourist attraction. Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Interesting. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm always curious how, you know, when we talk about all this affordability and stuff, and you know that is a big topic. I am always curious how other people are living, and the fact that I'm actually angry that you literally pay $700 a month for rent. That is,
I'm sorry, dude.
That
like,
is insane.
But hey, think about it. You actually have friends and people around you that are interesting. The people around me, when it's wintertime, it goes from like swarms of actually kind of well-to-do, interesting people that do stuff in life. They look at me as a worker at the 371 local diner, and they're like, look at this fucking normie. And then I'm like, hey, man, see you next year. Fine. Right. And then for the rest of the 8 months out of the winter year in Minnesota, I'm surrounded by, it's like if you drove through Brainerd and you had just a brief view of it, just drove down Main Street, I would call this place a fucking meth town. And then talking to the people here, lots of them are like trailer park white trash, in and out of jail. Oh, I was addicted to meth for 10 years and now I'm on probation. If I can't keep my job, my child support's going to dry up and I'm going to go back to jail. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck? Like, how did you pick yourself into that corner? Like, I don't know.
Sure.
But,
all right.
I would love to...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, man, come on. I just wanted to bring up a couple more things, but I'll try to bring up just this one quick thing.
Everybody calling, and I don't have Gerard.
So yeah, you're right. I mean, you let your last caller go on for felt like forever, but I guess I've been going on for a hot minute, too.
Yeah, you've had it some time. But anyways, just one last thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. One thing I wanted to bring up last time was the whole Fauci Wuhan thing.
Yeah.
And, like, Jon Stewart's, like, what if they ate the pangolins? Like, that was pretty funny. And then we were talking about Fauci. Now, why haven't we seen Fauci for a while?
We're about to see him, apparently.
Well, when we see him, will he have Tropic Thundered himself like Robert Downey Jr.? Like, full head to toe, just complete he's black?
No, you know what? I think he's going to pull Harvey Weinstein, and he's going to show up like feeble He's gonna show up like with like a walker, and you'll be like, "We can't be mean
He's got a
to
neck
this
brace
guy."
on.
No, he's gonna do the whole thing where he's gonna show up like literally with like in a wheelchair, and you're like,
Oh, pity me.
You can't be mean to this guy. He's falling on hard times. All right,
I
Jacob,
just thought it would be so funny if he was just all black in
Yeah.
like Tropic Thunder style.
all right, man. Gotta
But
let you
also,
go.
okay, the last thing, Rube Star.
Yes.
Rube Star needs a good Star Wars joke, and I got one for him.
He had
So what
one.
did-
So he had a Star Wars joke in his act. Nobody got it. It was a little.
See, this is the one that he should use. This is the
Okay.
one I was like, okay, Rube. I would love to hear what his jokes were, but this one is okay. So what did Yoda say when he saw himself in 4K for the first time?
What?
HD am I?
All right, you
Come
can't.
on, it's good
These
for
are
a
not the
fucking
types
chuckle,
of jokes
dude.
you can do at a comedy club. You can't. These are street
I know,
jokes.
I know.
These are-
I just thought it was a
His
good
wasn't.
dad joke.
You know
It
what?
was-
His wasn't way far off that, but that's you can't do that. All right, Jacob. I gotta
All
let
right,
go.
man.
Later,
Love you, dude.
Jacob. Everybody. We got some super chats from Jared. He says communism is Jewish. Communism is another one. Communism is Jewish. Democracy is Jewish. Also, Hitler is Jewish. Is anything not Jewish? That's my question to Jared. What is not Jewish? Here we go. We got the Goob. What's up, Goob? Hold on. I've got to merge you on this thing. Where's fucking Gerard? I guess we're not. I guess. He says he joined and then he took a call and then his thing crashed. So, I guess we're going Gerard-less this week. We got to get this guy a fucking computer really badly. I have a computer for him too. But he lives in Staten Island. Unmute. Oh, there you go, Goob. Goob, what's up, pal?
Hey,
Somehow muted him again. Hold on. Sorry. This is what happens when Gerard abandons his family like this. Goob.
hey, Danny.
What's up, buddy? No N-words, by the way. YouTube's
I got you.
not liking that recently.
That's a fair enough rule I can abide by. I don't mind that. If you want to hear them, though, I say them plenty on my show.
Hey, plug your show, man. If you want to fucking put your YouTube channel at peril, be my guest.
Well, I've been accurately predicting things for the last 9 months since Charlie Kirk was killed, and you have been too, at least with the censorship stuff. I mean, especially with the messaging that's going on in Canada and the EU and the UK right now, with all the digital ID and the pushes that are happening here in the States. I think we're going to see a massive, massive return of censorship very soon.
I agree. The party is coming to an end, fellas. It is. Yeah.
And so I wanted to talk about the race war.
Sure.
Yeah. And, it is great to see that people are getting fed up with all of the invaders, but there's still a fundamental misunderstanding from the right, which is, a big part of the message I've been trying to say since Charlie Kirk is killed, which is that it doesn't matter how much energy and hostility you give to the invaders until we start giving that energy towards the woke. Like, the woke truly must be destroyed to make any progress. There have been multiple campaigns in the last couple of weeks, Give, Send, Goes, to raise funds for people who have been fired for confronting, Somali and Muslim invaders and such. And it's cool to see the right, come together and support these people. But the thing that they don't seem to understand is that that's not a sustainable.
That's a Band-Aid. That's not
right. And until woke people start getting treated like the Nazis were after World War II, or the way that communists should be treated, these commies need to be treated like the commie scum that they are. It needs to be unacceptable to be woke rather than unacceptable to be based, right? And so as long as people are still getting fired for having opinions like puberty blockers shouldn't be given to children, and it's totally acceptable to have opinions puberty blockers should be mandatory for children, we will never make any progress ever.
So I read this recently. I could be incorrect, so don't hold me to this, but I believe that there was a detransitioner who sued. I can't remember where this was, but a detransitioner somewhere This was, I think this was recently. I don't know if this is this person, but there's been numerous detransitioners who are basically suing for malpractice, essentially saying like I was fucking 10 or like I was 12 and you chopped my tits off and I can never be a woman again. And they're suing, and I believe because of it, the like American, whatever medical boards are essentially going, because of this, and it's more of like an insurance liability thing, they're going to stop. It sounds like they're going to stop allowing transitioning for minors, and it's not even an ideological thing. It's just that they are like,
financial.
This is just like, this is going to kill us because yeah. And so it seems like it is going that way. I don't know if it's I saved this article somewhere, but I was reading about this at least in the last like month or two, essentially saying like the detransitioning stuff seems probably, even though there's all these, I don't know like how it works federally versus state here, but it seems like it's becoming this huge legal liability. And so because of that, it's going to stop.
I mean, a win is a win, so yeah. I'll take it. That's great news. But yeah, no, it has to become a cultural transition. And I know people say I'm obsessed with trannies. I'm really not. But like the idea that you can accept that a man can be a woman, such a fundamental truth of the world. It's like you genuinely cannot have a society that is not going to consume and destroy itself when you have that being an accepted viewpoint. Woke is fundamentally a denial of reality itself. And so until we bring people back to reality, until we start treating these woke people very harshly, very brutally, so that it's no longer a social like currency to be woke.
Almost every institution, though.
Right. And so this is why this has to be, I mean, the people do control the sentiments, right? Whatever, it is the masses that do control that, even though the institutions might have some influence over that, right? And it is the people who must say enough. We're not tolerating this retarded bullshit anymore, and just have that attitude and be done with it. But it has to be done with conviction, right? If you go out there with like half measures and you're like, I don't really agree with you, and you're trying to debate them, no, you just need to mock them and humiliate them and go, no, you're a fucking retard, get the fuck out of my face.
Sure. The problem is that, I mean, the whole like men can't be women, women can't be men, like that is probably like an 80-20 issue where most people believe that. I think like it, like initially,
yeah, the sentiment is still like publicly that it's accepted because the right doesn't actually confront it appropriately.
Again, it's just,
but I agree that it's not a majority issue, but it still has the acceptance of a majority issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, again, like, my, at least personally, like my issue with the whole stuff was when they're like, yeah, we're going to fire you for saying something. Like, I know trans people. I have no issue with them. If they want to live however they want to live, like, it doesn't affect me. It's when they started being like, now we're going to like impede
control
on
society.
Yeah. Like now we're going to impede on your life and things like that. And then you're like, okay, this is getting a little bit much. But if someone literally in fucking Seattle wants to be trans and it doesn't affect me, I'm like, I don't give a shit. But then when they're like, okay, we're doing like, drag queen story hour and all this stuff. And there is some element where you're like, look, if someone wants to do a drag queen story hour and someone wants to bring their kids, it's like, there's no law. I mean, there is a law to some degree against fucking up your kids, but for the most part, it's like people are kind of allowed to fuck up their kids. Like there's obviously like there's
right, but society should treat that with disgust and detest and hostility, and instead anyone who opposes it is given that treatment. And so, the trannies are not actually my main focus. It is the underlying issue that woke is a denial of reality itself. And the trannies are just such a perfect exemplification of that. It's the most perfect exemplification of that. Again, men being women is such a fundamentally ridiculous idea. But as we just described, like the people who are doing drag shows, those are embraced and defended by society. Cops will literally stand out there and shove away protesters. And the people who are rightfully disgusted by that are punished for that. And that is until that changes. And the only way that changes is the people say they've had enough. But until that changes, none of the invasion or all of these other issues, the black crime problem, none of that can be addressed because we can't even have an honest conversation about it because we still have such a significant portion of the population who are so willing to deny reality and attack you for addressing reality.
Yes. So like let's say the black crime problem, okay? If you were in charge, not as like emperor of America, but if you were, say, just like the president, so you still have like limitations. Like, how do you even address something like this other than you just go, "Hey, we're going to enforce the laws"?
Right. Well, I would enforce the laws. I would bring back death penalty in a big way, but I would also start a propaganda campaign. I mean, you look at the rape gang reports. The rape gang inquiry in UK that came out recently, which, by the way, I was reporting on this months ago, like the 13,000 warning letters that known rapists received instead of any type of punishment or even a trial from Starmer. I covered that months ago. But so if you look at that, you look at how upset people are, and rightfully so. People should be upset at the hundreds of thousands of young white children that have been raped and systematically facilitated by the UK itself. But if you look at America, blacks rape white people here at almost twice the rate per capita as they do in the UK. Same with the murders. There are more murders per capita happening black on white here in America than what's anything going on with the invaders in the UK. So as upset as people are in the UK about the rape gang inquiry, they should be way more upset here. Right, but they're not being enforced properly. And then again, like I said, a big part of this would be a propaganda campaign. If I were, the president, that's what I would be doing because people are not nearly as upset as they should be. The rage felt at the inquiry.
Trump doesn't go like, I mean, like Elon Musk talks about it. The biggest account on Twitter talks about it constantly.
Right.
He talks about it constantly. Trump doesn't really get into like those like granular statistics. I don't think he's like made this his cause, but again, like you're saying, a propaganda campaign that would,
and I would bring back McCarthyism,
that would eliminate the problem, or
so
it would make people aware of the problem. Because I think people are kind of aware.
I think most people are not. If you ask most people if they were aware that black people are raping white people in America at twice the rate, that per capita, twice the rate. So in overall numbers, it's way higher because we're a way bigger country. But even if you break it down by per capita, there's twice the amount of black on white rape in America as Muslim on white rape in the UK. And, there were right-wing death squads going through the neighborhoods in Dublin, right? Because and trying to basically playing citizen vigilante. Well, it's still happening. It's just not getting reported on, although it is, maybe not as intense as it was before. Yet, you don't see any of this for America. And it is, yes, because people do not understand. And then you have all of the bullshit of, socioeconomic factors. You can't blame the black people. Like, no, you absolutely can. You can compare all of these metrics, and the basically the poorest of the poor white people have the same crime rate as the richest of the rich black people.
I understand
and one of the mistakes that the right wing makes is they blame IQ and they go, of course you're going to have violent retards if you bring in a bunch of 60 IQ people, but it's not. You can look at 60, 70, 80 IQ white people and they're nowhere near the level of violence. It is a black problem. It is because they are black.
So look, I understand what
genetic issue.
I understand what you're saying, right? But like to say like Abdul, who's probably watching right now, he is responsible for he lives in Minneapolis, Somali in Minneapolis, that he is responsible for, say, a black guy raping someone in Florida. Like, he can't do anything about that. There's like, you want him to go on Twitter all day and just be like, we have a problem? Like, that's not a solution.
No. I would also revoke any and every, temporary protection and all that.
They just did that with Haiti.
Would be gone.
They just did. I mean, Abdul's a citizen. So.
They didn't do that with Haiti, though. They actually didn't do that with Haiti.
I thought they they're trying. Didn't they get rid of TPS for Haitians like last week?
They did not. No.
Oh, okay. I thought literally.
I would give you
Okay.
the exact opposite actually happened. And no, the propaganda campaign itself is not a solution, but as you know, the woke issue is fundamentally a propaganda issue, right? And we cannot even have conversations about these other realer issues like the invasion, like the black crime problem, because of the woke propaganda dominating our, country
but look,
and mindset.
Trump's
Again,
in
it's able to
charge.
push. It's able to push the tranny issue. Trump's not the great hero that a lot of people thought he was.
But I'm just saying, in terms of balance of power, like, it's like the Republicans are in power. It's he agrees with a lot of the stuff you're saying. Like, I think your issue is that you're like this woke thing. You're like, but a lot of people believe this stuff. Like you think that there's this small portion of people who are into this. It's like, it's actually a lot of people.
No, I know it's a lot of people. I'm fully aware of it. So I want to tell you a story from Rome, right? A few thousand years ago, there was this celebrity woman who killed herself, and she got just ridiculous amounts of attention. Oh my God, the tragedy! How could this happen? And people, were gushing over her, and it started this suicide epidemic of young women killing themselves for attention, and they tried to do everything they could. They begged, they pleaded, they used reason and logic, and none of that was slowing down the suicides at all. It just kept happening more and more until finally the emperor goes, the next person who kills themselves, he makes a proclamation, the next person who kills themselves, I'm going to strip your body naked, hang you in the town square, and leave you there to rot for everyone to see. And all of a sudden, the suicides stopped.
Yes.
And that is because, this was a contagious mental illness, right? They were getting social currency by killing themselves, and that was worth it to literally kill themselves to get this social currency. And woke works in the exact same way. You get massive amounts of social currency by being a petty little tyrant, woke retard. And it has been that way for decades now. And the only way to stop that, it's not through debate. It's not through reason or logic or begging or pleading or patience or kindness or any of that. It's through brutality. And so,
but we don't live in that kind of country. There's no scenario where
you asked me if I would be the president.
I didn't say. I said president, not emperor. You got to run this by Congress,
right? So but I would launch the propaganda campaign that would get people appropriately angry, and I would push them to, again, I would reinstate McCarthyism. I would get the commies out. And so between these things, you would then have, hopefully, the appropriately brutal response to these woke people to end that social mental illness contagion, and break that veil. And of course, some people are so bought into it, it'll never be broken, but you can, as a society, break it, right?
The more you crack down on it, the more people will dig in. It's almost like if there's like an actual government top-down attempt to rid people of this,
if
they're like,
people are getting fired for having, there will be people who dig in, but most people are sheep and most people are cowards. And so if people are getting fired, it's the exact same thing you've seen with the right? The right has, it is breaking to some extent now, but the right for decades has kept themselves silent. They've hidden their opinions, and it's because there was the fear of this social punishment and, getting fired from your job and all that. So if that is reversed, if you expressing your commie opinions now have social consequences instead of generating you social currency, that can switch very quickly. But that is the linchpin. Like, until woke is broken, until that hold on our society, this mental illness is broken, there will never be any progress on any of these other existential issues. And that has been my messaging from day one. And I don't know if I've necessarily communicated it effectively, but that is, again, because I have short phone calls here, I do a much better job on my own show.
People can go check out your show. And I understand what you're saying. It's more how it gets put into practice, I suppose, is the point of confusion, or just like, how do you do this? It doesn't seem like a simple thing. And again, like, this country, if you polled every person,
it both is simple and isn't.
Because this country is a majority left, slightly, Like, for the most part, like if you poll people over probably a long time frame, it's like this country does skew to the left a little more.
Yeah.
Like 55-45, maybe 60-40, something like that.
And
it takes shit getting fucked up for people to be like, you know what, I'm going to be a Republican this time around. But,
right. But that's the thing. Shit is fucked up, but we live under this illusion of woke where just literally reality itself is denied. And most people aren't like me and, interested enough to actually look into these things and understand these things. Again, if you go on the street, I guarantee you no one would effectively no one, a very, very, very small percentage. If you were like, do you think more rape per capita is happening here in America than the UK? Like, especially after the rape gang inquiry, no one's going to think that. They think the UK is uniquely,
I would say most people here don't even know about the rape gang thing. I would say that's like
again. So
most people are like, I don't even know what you're talking about. They'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
And so the most people. You're saying shit has to get fucked. Shit is fucked, but people don't realize, because despite how fucked shit is, we still have our goy slop on our televisions and in our bellies, and it keeps us. Is that not even allowed?
No, I'm kidding. I love goy slop.
Oh, okay. I was like,
hell no. I will. If YouTube says I can't say goy slop,
I was gonna have an issue then. You want me to not say the N-word? That's not a problem.
If YouTube says I can't say goy slop anymore, if the ADL gets their fucking talons into YouTube, then the show's just over. We're moving to Rumble officially. If YouTube tells me I can't say goy slop.
Well, yeah, no. And you say it's not so simple. It really is. Like the way that the left has garnered power is, again, they've made it. They've given petty people the power to punish anyone who disagrees with them. They've given them the social currency to do that and inflict their will.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I just don't know how you do
against
it.
people. And so,
like, I guess you need companies to start.
Says enough. People realize that this is bullshit. They say enough is enough, and they just don't participate in that, because the right's reaction, in the same way that the street preacher who gets attacked by the tranny and he refuses to defend himself and he does the bare minimum, he never presses charges, he never, just punches them back in the face. Like, that is the right's attitude overall, is they're meek, they're trying to, they get called a racist and they shrink away rather than just being like, Sieg Heil, N-word. And so that is the solution, is there just needs to be enough people to say, I've had enough of this. I'm done with this. I'm pushing back against this. And so that is difficult in practice, because that currently still carries a lot of risk. You're still likely to get fired, socially ostracized, cut off from your bank, cut off from your credit card processors.
HR managers of companies, I would guess it's 95% of them are probably left-leaning people. So
fat white women, So
it's like
the only way to change that is to have people say enough. It is simple. You take the same thing that the left has done. You be more willing to scream in someone's face and punch them in the face in the street over their opinions, just like the left has.
I don't think
that is how the left is
over their opinions.
It's the energy. It doesn't even necessarily have to. It doesn't even necessarily have to have the punch. You have to have the energy and the conviction to deliver it, though. And then because lefties are inherently beta soy boy bitches and fat white women, they are the weakest of the weakest amongst us. If you actually confront them with that kind of energy, it's not even going to escalate to the point of a punch in the face, although a lot of them are delusional from Marvel movies and things like that, and they think they can take on a dude, and so it might get to that point. But it is just people need to stop tolerating the woke bullshit, stop tolerating the commie bullshit. And again, as I was saying about the censorship, right? I think within the next 6 months, you're going to see a very, very serious increase of censorship in the U.S.
Big time.
It could be a little bit later than that, but I think 6 months is potentially even being a bit generous.
They're doing it just very gradually. It's not going to be, you're not going to wake up one day.
Homath has been gone for months.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. I didn't even notice he was gone, to be honest.
He's been gone for at least 4 months.
And that is the most insidious part of this whole censorship thing, is that people just disappear. You don't even he was in my feed all the time. And to be honest, until you said that, I didn't even know he was gone. Like, I just,
So let me lay out a
sometimes
timeline
creators
here.
take time off or whatever. They just like, I'm just like, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he's gone. So, and it's because he was essentially calling for revolution before he got gone. But in 6 months till extreme censorship, and like you said, most people don't even realize the censorship is happening, even when it is to a very extreme level. And even when they realize it's happening, they don't realize the extent to which it's happening. But once the censorship happens, we have all of the flock cameras going on. We've got digital ID being rolled out. We've got all of these monitoring things going on. So censorship rolls out. All of the people who are speaking like I am, they disappear. You don't even notice. They roll out mass surveillance, which we already have, but they roll it out to a degree that it will be difficult to even comprehend or imagine. And then you have the presidential election come up, which, as I've explained many times, the blatant, massive, just insanely massive amounts of fraud that happened in the 2020 election, that will happen again. And then once a Democrat president is in, and we've already got the messaging from the EU, the UK, and Canada saying, fuck you, we don't care about your opinions. This invasion is happening. You will be invaded. We are going to start bringing in even more people. They're going to take their foot off the gas completely. We live in a global world already, so they can't just take believe it or not, they've had their foot on the brakes heavily in the EU and UK for a while now, because they can't just run away with it there until they get America on board as well. And once a Democrat president is fraudulently elected again, they will have no reason to keep their foot on the brakes, and it will go full pedal to the metal on the gas. And at that point, it will be too late to do any of the things that I am talking about. The country will be irredeemably past the point of no return to a ridiculous extent. It will be over. So right now, you must be finding your allies. You must be making plans. You must be getting ready for revolution, because there will not be another opportunity. You do not have decades to sort this out. You do not have years even to sort this out. We have a very, very limited window to stop the communist woke takeover of America and the Muslim takeover of America, and start changing these sentiments now by saying enough is enough. Or we will all be fucked.
Yeah.
The whole world will suffer. There will be mass deaths. I mean, you look at previous communist takeovers, you look at previous Muslim invasions. It's not going to go anywhere good for any of us.
Probably not. All right, Goob, I got to let you go. Good call, though. Goob,
Thanks,
everybody. Go follow his YouTube channel. It's at the Goob. He can drop a thing in here. All right, let's take another call here. Rip Gerard. He's still alive. It's just computers futzing. It's futzing. Hold on. One moment, please. Oh, I don't know who this is. Sorry, the Patreon thing doesn't even work this week. Hello. You're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
What's up? It's Spencer in North Carolina.
Spencer, North Carolina. What's up, man?
What's up, dude? But I caught bits and pieces of the earlier callers. One guy talked about your episode with the Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that guy completely. Yang's a complete fucking lunatic on a lot of things. One of the biggest things that, like, I don't know if you caught it. You didn't say anything in the moment, but like he spent like a lot of time talking about like, oh, like, you know, AI dooming, like, oh, it's ruining these jobs, like, gonna destroy the market, blah 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 blah. And then literally like 30 seconds after that, he was like, yeah, at my company, like, I don't hire junior engineers or anything. Like, I just use Claude.
Well,
it's like, dude,
well, I don't think he's I think he's calling balls and strikes in that sense. Like, I don't think he's like a Luddite where he's like, no, like, you know, we need to protect these jobs. He's just like, this is what's happening. Like, I can tell you my company, like, we're already doing this. This is happening. And it doesn't make sense to hire people as like some, you know, mandated, like, I don't know, pity type scenario where we're hiring them even though they're more expensive and worse than AI. He's just like, it's happening and we need to do something about it. But I don't think he's so like ideological where he's like, no, I would always hire someone even if they do a worse job than AI. He's just like, no, this is what's happening. That's my read on it.
Okay, I just interpreted it differently because he seemed like he was kind of preaching it that way, and then was like, oh, when I'm actually running it, like, no, I want my margins higher.
No, I mean, look,
like,
he's a businessman, and the purpose of a business for the most part is to make a profit. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to run a worse business. Like, especially in tech, which is so competitive. He's like, you have to assume all your competitors are doing this stuff. So I don't really think you have an option not to. You just have to do it. But I think he's saying like, look, this is happening. And, I have firsthand, experience with this. So we need some kind of plan here.
Okay, I guess that's a fair evaluation. But then his fucking plan just is like a complete like I don't know what he's smoking or whatever. Like his idea of like a credit-based universal basic income utopia.
Yeah.
Like that shit like is never gonna work. Like this idea that he was talking about, like, oh, you give people enough money and like they'll contribute to the arts. It's like, no, look at like
most people will get addicted. Literally most, like not most people, but a huge amount of people are going to get hopelessly addicted to drugs and alcohol. If you give them enough money to not do anything, like you get bored. And the notion that you're like, I'm going to be an artist 10 hours a day. You're like, some people will, but those people are already artists 10 hours a day. Like if you just have some hobby of doing something and you're like, yeah, I like to do this to like relieve some stress a couple hours a week. Like they're not going to go from a couple hours a week to 40 hours a week. They're going to go from, I do this maybe 4 hours a week now and I do drugs the rest of the time. Or, it's like you get bored. It's like, it really is like that old adage where it's like, what is it like? Idle hands or whatever. I don't remember the.
Yeah, it's the devil's playground.
Devil's playground.
Or idle mind is a devil's playground.
It is. I mean, it is. It's just like if you have no purpose in life and you have nothing to do, like you're going to probably start doing some self-destructive shit. To be honest, like that's my opinion. I mean, like when in my life, whenever I've had the least to do, it's not like, oh, this is the best version of me. I'm not like, oh man, I'm fucking. It's usually like, yeah, I'm doing stupid shit. So
yeah, it just seems completely delusional. Like,
I mean, the only element of it that might not be delusional is that it just might be where, at least, I don't want to put words into his mouth where he's like, this is just what it's going to be. There's going to be 380 million Americans and there's going to be 100 million jobs. And that's just what it is. And, like, sure, you can maybe take your stipend and go think of some kind of new entrepreneurial thing, but there are going to be way more people than there's going to be jobs to do. And we just have to accept that that's what the world's going to look like. I don't know.
I don't know. I find myself, obviously my opinion could change, but I find myself agreeing more like with what Ryan's thought camp is like, yeah, there's going to be this like Holocaust, but ultimately the market is going to adapt and there's going to be, different kinds of jobs that revolve around AI. Like, I mean, my job has completely changed and it's like, it's just become integrated as a part of the work. Like,
what do you have, the gun thing?
Yeah. So we use AI to, manage sales stuff, track. It's extremely useful for the compliance aspect, like when laws are changing or if I have to, find something in a document, like it's very, very helpful and it makes me way more efficient at like finding information that I need. If I'm trying to find some sort of.
Would this have been like all this? So are you more efficient or do you have more free time?
I'm more efficient. I guess it depends on the individual. But I've found ways, to use AI, particularly like if I'm cold calling an agency or something, Like, you can set up AI to be like, here's a list of, fucking 20 agencies I want to reach out to. Here's like the contact. Give me, a short, cold opener, and it will like, and you can set the guardrail. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
So but like the little like bullshit grunt white collar stuff, like it's basically eliminated that for me, or like stuff that I would have to ask like someone else, like an assistant or whatever, like scheduling agents and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. And now what is that? So assuming that you're like, is that assistant doing other work? Like, have you eliminated what would have potentially been, say, like some low level job that you may have needed?
Not yet. The commercial side of where I work, we're like everywhere, and I think you've talked about it. Like customer service is probably going to be completely axed within the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
And like basically like there will be like chat agents, and then like it won't be until you get to like what you consider like tier 3 or 4 would be like there might be like 1 or 2 people dedicated to handling like the really complex problems.
Sure. Yeah. See, my thing, like, like, I agree with Ryan on the sense that, like, yes, there will be new jobs. My issue with this whole thing is the amount of jobs that are going to get eliminated so fast. I just don't think it's going to be gradual, and you're just gonna. It's going to happen so quick. Like, it's the rate of change that I'm more concerned about. Not like if this was a gradual thing, I wouldn't be as concerned about it. But my concern is that we're just going to wake up one day and just companies are like, yeah, we just laid off every one of our call center workers. Like, we just cut like 100,000 jobs or something. And you're like, that's not easy to just replace those with some new thing that they're not trained in.
That is a possibility. I mean, in the arms industry, it's a little unique in that it's so regulated by the federal government that, like everything regulated by the federal government, it's like 10 to 15 years behind.
Right.
So like so much stuff still requires like a wet signature or a real person to like, verify this or whatever. I mean, dude, there's things that like for example, National Firearms Act forms like have to be, or for the most part, 100% electronic now. But like, if you want to void a form, like something gets approved and like you don't want to ship it off, or you end up destroying whatever you manufactured or whatever, there's no way to actually like electronically revoke that. Like you have to write a letter to the federal government and either mail or email it to this random inbox somewhere in West Virginia, and then they get back to you within 90 days,
okay.
like whether they voided you or not. So like there's a layer within at least firearms where like you have, in a kind of fucked up way, the bureaucracy is actually like kind of job security to a certain degree.
Right. And I mean, you did, like, when I was like, when I asked like about if you're going to, if you see that, like, getting rid of people or not hiring, like you seem to hesitate a little bit. Like I'm sure you can see how this could, I don't know how big like your organization is, but I'm sure like whoever's at the bottom doing like some fucking paperwork, you'd be like, oh, yeah, it's like, maybe I'm not replacing them yet, but I could see how they're, and now maybe you can retrain them to do something else, or maybe you can. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of your business, but you can see how people will kind of fall by the wayside here.
Yeah, but like I think what we're kind of seeing in certain tech companies, this has already happened, is like people are like overestimating what AI can do, and like it's like, okay, it could just be like delaying the inevitable, but it's like they start to lay people off, and then it turns out that like AI actually can't do what they want it to do, or it does a worse job, and then they just end up having to bring people back.
Like everybody knows someone who works at like for the government or for some giant corporation, and they're just like, yeah, I work 4 hours a week, right? Like I think everybody kind of knows someone
Complete
like that.
Fucking bullshit job.
So, and probably a lot of people are going to be doing this thing where they're like, yeah, I work 2 hours a week now. But the problem is that then their company's like, okay, so you do the same amount of work, but your token costs or whatever X, like, so you're actually more expensive now and you're doing the same amount of work. So, I mean, you could just kind of see how like stuff like that might be slow, but eventually some companies be like, either you need to get more productive or, you know, stop using AI on our dime. Like there's going to have to be something. And I know like there's all these companies right now who are like, yeah, we spend $500 million on AI a month. And I've read like stuff where CEOs are like, we spend $500 million on AI a month. And I literally cannot tell you if it made us any more productive or if there was any like sort of benefits tied to that. So we're kind of like putting a pause on it or, you know, reducing it.
Yeah,
like, we just can't tell you. We don't know.
Yeah, I read something recently that that like something that and people use it all the time, but it like uses a shit ton of tokens and a shit ton of like
Amazon used like $500 million in a month or a bill, something crazy. Like they basically gave all their employees like uncapped token usage. And then they were like, it was something like they used like, it was 500 million or like $1 billion in 1 month of tokens.
Well, I can say we've already like, cause I mean, we're way smaller than Amazon, but yeah, recently within the last like couple weeks, like the owner basically was like, cause we use Claude and Copilot. And he was like, if you're not really like, he basically started cutting off people that like weren't using it like a ton. Like it's already starting to become like a cost.
It's getting expensive.
Like, if it's not like something demonstrable or like someone actually needs it for their role, it's like we're starting to just axe accounts because it's like, you know, people are just using it as like Google, basically.
Yeah, I think, what is this? I think Sam Altman said, I don't know what he basically said, this is kind of funny, but he said that people saying please and thank you to ChatGPT is costing them like something crazy. It was like, I don't know, $50 million a year, something nuts. Just like, he's just like, if you could just stop saying please and thank you, that costs us so much money. Just people doing.
Dude, that's like that's simultaneously like funny and extremely like dystopian.
Yeah,
like,
no,
saying
sure.
Please and thank you to a
because you know what?
machine.
Sometimes I will catch myself because I am just generally a polite person. I will sometimes catch myself like respond, like the AI will do something for me and then I'll be like about to say like thanks or whatever, or like some final message that I would do with a normal person just out of like conscious, and then I'll be like, what am I doing?
Instead of a fucking planker.
I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, I can just leave this hanging. It doesn't know. Like, I don't need to be like, thanks for that. Like, but sometimes just it's out of habit. I'll just be like, oh, thanks. And then I was like, what am I doing?
So have you played with so actually my sister is who put me onto this, and it's kind of creeped me out ever since. So if you asked AI to do something like, you know, say, you know, tell me how many miles from point A to point B, and would it be faster, you know, like what would be the fastest mode of transportation?
Mm-hmm.
And like, it'll give you an answer. And then if you go, can you give me a better answer? It will then improve. It would actually improve whatever its initial answer was. And it's like, when you start to think about it, like the data center or whatever was conserving energy, not giving you the best answer to begin with.
Right.
Why? And then why would it improve upon itself when prompted?
I mean, because you probably prompted it and it doesn't want to give you the same answer. So it's probably like, all right, time to do a little more work. I've definitely had some stuff like research things where I tell it like, I'll literally say like, take your time. You don't need to answer me in 10 seconds. Like really go like look into this. And if you say that, it's just like, yeah, it takes a longer time and it probably uses way more tokens. But if you're trying to, you know, if you're just trying to get like a basic answer for something, but sometimes you don't want a basic answer. You're like, yeah, I want you to really go scour the internet, like pretend like you're me and spending 5 hours just going like web page to web page. Granted, it can do it in 5 seconds, but I'm like, go do all this stuff. But sometimes you actually, do have to tell it. It's
So Yang said, so he formed a new political party. Is it closer to like Green Party or Libertarian?
No, he calls it the Forward. He calls it the Forward Party. It's just a centrist party. It's just like not left, not right. And honestly, the way I can see, like, again, this country will never have like a real third party. So I think it's just like a pointless endeavor, unfortunately. Just the way things are set up. But he's like, if the Democrats go socialist and, people are viewing the Republicans as being too far right, like you do see this kind of middle ground where you can kind of pick some people up. But the problem is like, I don't even know how it would work where you could get to the point where people are like, I'm not wasting my vote voting for this party. Like it's similar to libertarians. We're just like, you're making a point, you're wasting your vote. Like, nothing is going to come of this other than potentially, helping some other party. But that's what his party is, the Forward Party, and I think it's just like a centrist.
Okay.
Centrist.
I
party.
Might read about it at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is crazy to see what the fuck, like we were talking about, how few votes were needed to get actual unapologetic communists. Like that same chick you were talking about earlier, like not only does she not believe in like prisons, she was asked, I don't know if it was the same interview.
About the murderer?
Asked, well, there's the murderer one, and then there was also like, she was asked, is there no context where somebody can be deported?
Yeah.
And she was like,
no. Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter.
She literally is like, deport nobody ever for any reason, no border, no police, no ICE, nothing. Like it's a crazy position that you're like, this is a literal. She's going to be elected to Congress, but they're smart. Like I'm curious if Republicans do similar stuff like this, where they go, look, we're in a red state. Republicans win every time. So we just have to go find 30,000 people.
No, okay. I don't think I mentioned this. Did you hear about the representative she's going to win. She's in an unopposed district. There is I can't remember her fucking name, but there's a full on like burqa wearing, like full, like not hijab, like full, just see the eyes, woman, that ran as a Republican uncontested in this Western North Carolina county. And she's going to Congress.
Oh,
like,
I see.
She ran as a Republican.
Niqab wearing rhino, running for North Carolina GOP Senate seat, despite being a lifelong Democrat. Her name's Lakeisha M. Alston. She's running as the only Republican for the state's 22nd district seat, despite being a lifelong Democrat. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is there's certain areas of this country where it's just a lock. I mean, I'm surprised nobody else wants to run. Now, this is for the North Carolina state legislature. I know this is the first.
Okay, it's not federal, but
this is not federal.
Still, I mean, it shows that their tactics are changing radically.
Yeah,
it's like that's not.
I mean, this is like, crazy. Like they're just like, hey, nobody's running for a Republican. Just like go register as a Republican, and she has claimed her unexpected. Yeah, she has a photo of her literally like with the mesh over the eyes.
I don't know what she looks like, and apparently she's going to be one of my state senators.
Yeah, there's says she has claimed her unexpected party switch was the result of a political awakening, previously telling the Daily Caller that she has converted to Republican. Again, I don't think she's born Muslim either, so that's not new for her. Yeah, I mean that's. I'm just shocked that there's nobody else who wants to do this job who's a Republican. They can't find one person where she's just
apparently not. Well, I don't know. I'd have to look at that county specifically.
Yeah.
What I'm guessing happened, and I don't know. I probably should have come more prepared. What I'm assuming happened is there was someone that just had that seat forever, and then they just like didn't run again. And then, the fucking retards, the goyim that vote in local elections, just like saw an R next to her name and didn't actually like look into who she was.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this now.
I
don't. So she's running against the incumbent, Sophia Chitlick, former Durham City Council member and former City Durham Council member, who are both Democrats. But it seems like it says, according to the county's election board, 124,500 voters are Democrats, 86,000 are unaffiliated, less than 23,400 voters are Republican. So I think it's a pretty blue whatever county or like whatever it is.
Yeah, so it was a smart political move to steal a seat because so North Carolina politics, because we're so purple, it's really cutthroat what they do here.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think she's going to win. It sounds like the only way for her to run, like it's not a Republican, like area, whatever.
Oh yeah, she hasn't won the general yet.
No, she hasn't won, and she's running against the incumbent, who is a Democrat. It goes Democrat. I think she just was like, this is the only way to kind of get, kind of maybe any votes is to vote. But from my quick read of this, it sounds like she's going to lose anyways.
Well, there's some interesting stuff that happens here. Like 2 years ago, we had this chick, Trisha Cawthorn. She ran as a Democrat, won as a Democrat, and then like less than a year into her term, she switched teams and started voting Republican and joined the Republican Party. Like it was 100% like a super cool like trick.
I mean, that shit happens in Canada all the time. Like in Canada, Mark Carney won with a minority government. There were all these people who were elected as conservatives in their like ridings. And then they like there was like in the course of a week or two, several of them are like we're switching sides, and then they gave him a majority government, and which means like he can get shit through like way easier. And people were like, I didn't vote. Like people in those ridings were like, I didn't vote for liberal. I voted for because you said you were a conservative, and they're like, yeah, tough shit.
Yeah, that's pretty gangster. I mean, that's how it works.
I gotta let you go. I gotta take this call, but thanks for calling in. Good talking to you, Spencer.
Yeah, man. See you.
Spencer, everybody. All right, this guy's been calling a million times. I'm gonna get to him. Sorry, sorry, everybody. No Gerard this week. The mustache Jared says, we talked about the Holocaust and I missed it. Where were you? And then Jared says, Danny could have saved Connor Dog's life if he trusted AI and wasn't an anti-trans canine. I wish, man. I fucking wish. I wish. Hello. You're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
Oh, hey. This is Eli.
Eli, what's up, man? Thanks for continuing. I saw you kept calling, so thanks for keeping on track.
Oh yeah, I was calling the wrong number the whole time, so it was whatever.
Well, no, I saw you. It's no, Gerard's not here this week, so it's I can only answer whoever happens to be the call at that moment. So if you don't get picked up this week, do not. It's nothing personal. It's just no Gerard.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. I've got like 6 weeks off. I just had a gyno surgery, so I'm just kind of posted up at the house for a while.
Gyno surgery? Like for your nose?
No, gynecomastia.
Oh, you had gynecomastia, like The Rock. The Rock has had that surgery.
Has he?
Yeah, he has. I saw Dr. Mike did a thing about him because it was like about if he's natty or not, and then Dr. Mike like had a photo of him with his scars.
Yeah,
it's a 6-week recovery.
Yeah, so like they put you like in this corset bra thing to like keep pressure on your chest.
Okay.
And you can't lift more than like 5 pounds the first week, 10 pounds the second week, 15 pounds the third week, and then like no exercise for like 6 weeks in total.
Crazy.
So
why did you have this? Just aesthetics?
No. Like it was actually hurting. Like there's some people that get it because they're fat. It's called pseudo-gynecomastia. But,
okay.
If you have like a hormonal issue, you can get like the glandular tissue expands. It gets like really tough and fibery. So if you're predisposed to it, it could just happen if you're predisposed. But then also like smoking weed, using steroids, and drinking can like exacerbate it. And when I was younger, I did all of that. So
you were fucking, you were on the sauce?
Kind of. Do you remember Pro Hormones? Like, it was like legal steroids you could buy like at GMC and stuff.
No, I don't. I never gotten.
It was, I mean, like totally legal capsules, but like it was steroids, and I took them for a few months. But
okay.
Oh well.
It may have contributed. Did your insurance cover that?
Yeah, actually it does, because like it was like actually causing pain. Like if anyone like hit me in the chest, like it felt like my nipples were gonna explode.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Pretty weird, but
crazy. Well,
anyways, I've got like 6 more weeks to go. I've got like these drains in my chest that are like pulling fluid out of it.
Wow.
Kind of sucks.
Yeah. Not great, but at least you got it taken care of. I'm sure I imagine it's a one-time deal. It doesn't come back, does it? Like you don't have any risk of this returning?
Generally, yeah. Yeah, generally, yeah, for the most part. I don't know. It's just, you pay for stuff that, you're not thinking about, when you're younger, and just is what it is.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's I never heard of that before. I mean, I've heard of it. There was a comic I knew actually in Toronto who got like lipo, but it was just lipo. It wasn't like
because he was fat, or because like he actually had like
he kind of had like bitch tits, I guess. So he just like went and got lipo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because so gynecomastia, it's Greek. So gyno, same root as like the gynecologist, so it means woman. Co with, and then mastia is the same root for like mastitis for like breast. So it literally means woman with breast.
Interesting.
So
interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
And did you have like were they big?
They weren't. I mean, like you could kind of see. Like I'm not a fat guy. Like I'm in okay shape, but like. Yeah, I mean, you could kind of tell, but it wasn't terrible. It was just painful more than anything.
Yeah, it was just more just the discomfort. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well,
yeah.
Glad that's taken care of. Is that what you were wanting to call in about?
Oh no, man, I don't want to be like the abortion guy, but like I kind of felt like I moved. I feel like I moved the goalpost like last time we talked.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my aim last time we talked was to show you that your position was more eugenics than what you were thinking. So yeah. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I remember the conversation. But we kind of got, I feel like, off the rails because we were talking about like the Down syndrome stuff, which again, and I when I initially said it. On like Boys Cast, this was I guess I didn't have as much information about the situation. You know what? It's fucking, man, I still I get the like the obviously like I'm not like I don't think it's a good thing that we're like we just don't have people with Down syndrome. We're like we've eliminated that. And maybe in a perfect world there could be something where you're like, yeah, we could you could have an embryo that has Down syndrome and then modify it somehow so it's still like this. It's still like the the life, but we just fix them up. I guess remove that, which I think I would be more inclined to do. I guess my issue, or not my issue, is that it's hard. Like the notion that. And like I said, I think this was last week, where it's like if you see somebody, like if you go see someone like with Down syndrome, like working at a restaurant, for example, like they're the exception. They're not, and I guess I was kind of misinformed to think like, oh, that's normal. And it's like, actually, no, that's not normal. And they could have all these issues, but I don't know. But again, I'm also not against abortion, and I hope I would never have to make this decision. Because I truly, I feel like a lot of these decisions are probably easier when you don't have to deal with them. And I think probably a lot of people who have had to deal with them would say the same thing, where they're like, yeah, it's an easy decision when you don't have to make it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Because,
well, I remember your position. I remember your position being that if they had a low quality low quantity span of life, then
Yeah.
what's the point? So what I've been thinking about that, and it's like, so kind of what you've done is you've taken a category of people that have a short lifespan and a low quality lifespan, and you've said, these people aren't worthy to live, so we can kill them. And by default, I mean, there's the natural law of preservation, right? Like everybody wants to live, like by nature, like we all want to live.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, there's
I think
thousands of Canadians who would disagree with you, but
well, they're broken. I'm sorry. Like if you like want to kill yourself, like there's something psychologically wrong with you. But by default, everybody.
Well, what about someone
who's
what about someone who's terminally ill? Is in, you know, you might be near the end of your life, terminally ill, in tremendous amount of pain. You're just like, you dread waking up every day because your life is just a nightmare. And you're just like, look, the writing's on the wall. This is going to be over soon. I don't want to just spend the rest of my life high as a kite to manage this pain. Like, what about those people?
I think that's a different conversation than somebody entering the world.
Yeah.
Because I think that kid entering the world by default still wants to live. It, you know, it's taking resources from the mother, you know, for itself to try and live. Like everything in the child is trying to exist.
Yeah.
And when you say, hey, like your life is going to suck and it'll only last a couple of years, you lose your right to live. We'll just end it for you. I think that's just taking like an evil assumption.
Yeah, and again, like if, you know, I guess it depends on if you know this for a fact. But then again, another point I disagree on is the point at which you would, you know, because obviously you're like of the, life begins at conception. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I definitely do believe there is a point before birth where you're like, yeah, that is a human. But
right.
I don't think that's day one.
So well, yeah, but you were saying that you believe life begins at the moment of viability, right? Like when it comes just outside the womb.
Yeah.
Now, do you know that's shifted as medical technology has increased or gotten better?
Yeah, I believe that.
So,
I believe that.
I'm curious. Well, I'm curious. Like, let's say the stuff in China is legit, like where they're raising kids and robots from conception.
Yeah.
And let's say we get that here. If that was to happen, now you have viability at conception, apparently in China. Would you say, you know, I was wrong? Like life begins at conception because the kid can exist outside the womb? Or would you still stick to like 22 weeks?
I would say no, because we're talking about an artificial womb here at this point. Like we're not talking like it's still basically would be in something that's like replicating a woman, like a womb. So
but the child would need, but the 22-week child outside the womb would need some kind of artificial.
It would need something for sure, like an incubator or something like that.
Right.
But I would say if it's like simulating the womb, I would still probably keep my initial position, which is that it's like that we've just kind of mechanically replaced a womb, but I would consider them, it's still a womb, I guess.
So is it not a person still?
At the day of conception? No, not to me. It's not.
No. Okay. If you took that conceived child and put it in the artificial womb, you would still be like, yeah, like that's not a human. We could do whatever we want with it.
Yeah, like the clump of cells not resembling a human, I would not consider to be a human.
Yeah.
There's a point where I would. Like I'm not, you know, there's certainly a point where I'd be like, that's a person.
Yeah.
I don't, but for me, it's not like day 1 or 2. No.
Yeah. So it's like, depending on like how developed the person is, depends on if it's a person or not.
I would think so. At least to me. Yeah. I don't believe, like, I'm just not, I don't subscribe to the conception thing. So, and I understand you do. So, but there's some lunatics who are like, yeah, until it's fucking 36 weeks, it's not a person. And you're like, well, no, that's definitely not true either. So you got to pick somewhere along that timeline. at least in my position. And it would be somewhere like earlier, but I'm still not a day one guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you why I'm a day one guy is because that's when there's unique DNA. That's when the, I guess it's a zygote at that point, when it's, pulling resources from the mother, like when it's developing, but it is like its own unique living organism inside of the woman. So then you go, okay, well, what is it that's alive? And it's a microscopic human is what it is.
Now does sperm does sperm require resources? I mean, it's certainly
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's gotta have an environment that keeps it alive.
Yeah,
but
like I'm sure.
But like whacking off or whatever, like that's not a bunch of abortions. It's when the sperm meets the egg is when it's unique, when it's its own DNA, when it's actually growing and developing.
It has like unique DNA.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's what scares me about like saying, hey, like it's not a human because it's not viable, because it doesn't have sentience, because it doesn't contribute, whatever it is you could actually take a human in a coma and use the same argument for killing that person. It's not conscious. It's a drag on society. It has no idea where it's at. Doesn't feel anything. I mean, that's my fear is like, you take the definition of why it's okay to kill a kid in the womb.
Yeah.
And you can apply that to all kinds of disabled people or people in
I agree. Now what if that person in a coma is only alive due to like some machine, right? Like they're only in a coma living because they're being helped by, some exogenous kind of machine. Like they're not in a coma on their own.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts there?
I think if it's in a medical setting, I think, what is it, the Hippocratic oath or the Hippocratic oath, whatever? Hippocratic, thank you, yeah. To do no harm. So I think everything in our power to try and keep this person alive and then bringing them eventually to life is what the aim should be. I don't know. I think it's like very like Darwinian to be like, hey, like, this person can't exist on their own, just let it end. I understand homos are kind of tricky because they don't always come back. But
like what if it's been 10 years? Like what if it's a family member of yours and
right.
like it's been 10 years? Like they're not coming back.
Yeah. Right.
They have no brain activity. They're like, we're keeping this body, this heart pumping blood, but like they're not coming back. But I mean, like in this scenario, they're like, look, if you want to pay the bills every month to keep them going, we'll keep them going.
Yeah.
But you give us, like, we're telling you, like, we've been doing this a long time. This person's not coming back.
Right.
But we're going to need the go ahead from you to unplug them. Like, we're not going to do it by ourselves. You're going to need to decide. And if you're happy just fucking paying every month, like, we might get another 20 years out of this, but this is the best case scenario as it exists currently.
Yeah. I mean, I think if it's like literally the doctor saying, hey, like he's not going to survive, I'd be like, well, yeah, okay, like this is pointless then.
Okay, well, what about if there was you have a pregnancy and they're like, this baby's not going to survive?
Yeah, I think the difference is you're letting one naturally happen versus one you are committing a literal murder. It's a premeditated killing of something that is developing that will eventually die, to your point. But I'm not the one committing that murder.
Well, if you're unplugging the machine,
something natural.
Well, I understand.
I mean,
well, but there is this machine. You kind of. I do understand your distinction here. So I'm not trying to say this is like apples to apples, but like you are telling them to unplug the machine. Like, If you don't tell them to unplug the machine, like this person stays alive technically. They have a pulse and they're alive, and they will only cease to be living once you tell them to unplug the machine.
Yeah.
But I do understand it's not the same thing as letting a baby naturally be born and then it just dies. Like, I do get that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely believe in consequences. I believe in I don't know. I believe that what goes around comes around. I don't say karma because I hate Hinduism and all that kind of stuff, but I truly believe that, like, where we're at, I'm not trying to like side rail, but like where we're at, you know, as a country, you know, people are talking about, you know, the issue is black people, the issue is the Jews, the issue is wokeism. And truth be told, I think the issue is sin, as cheesy as it sounds.
Yeah.
You know, Christian morality gets bashed on so much, but it was Christian morality that was upholding everybody to allow where they're at today, where we've gone. And I think swaying away from the Christian standard of morality, I think has landed us where we're at. Because the thing is, like, you push God out of a country, you push out the religion, and you don't get nothing. You get a vacuum. And what we're getting is Islam. Yes, we're getting atheism, which is a true type of religion. It's just you're the God.
Right.
Instead, it's social relativism. Your feelings are the God. So to bring it back, I think to take an innocent life that is fighting to stay alive and say, hey, like, you're not worthy of life, I think that's adding to the judgment that we're under right now as a country, personally.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I like these conversations, by the way. I like calling because you do force me to think about stuff that I've like never really given like a lot of thought to.
I mean, it's embarrassing sometimes, you know, to say, like, I'm a Christian, I believe in sin, I believe in heaven and hell and all these kinds of things. But I really think like it's that fear from the church that is brought us where we're at, because the church going soft and weak has allowed all these other isms to walk over it. Mm-hmm. And really, truly, like, I blame sin and moral decay, but I really blame the church for just being as weak as it is. It has been. And like, I'm not a good Christian. Like, I did my own thing, and I came back a few years later and I was like, wow, like I've added to the mess just as anybody else. Like, I deserve whatever's coming, you know, whether it be Islam or wokeism or whatever. Like, I deserve so much worse than what I've got. But I don't know. I think there's still time for redemption. If not,
even for the Jews?
Like, we've got it so much better than what we deserve. The Jews?
There's still time for redemption.
What about the Jews?
I said, there's still time for redemption for the Jews, even if they don't accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior.
No, I mean, it's that simple. Like, the Jews have had a few thousand years, you know, getting ready for Jesus, and, you know, they decided that wasn't the right Messiah that was going to free them from Rome.
Yeah.
But the redemption doesn't always come in this life; it's the next life.
Sure.
And that's, I don't know, man. We run from suffering, but the thing is, like, suffering catches up with us. You know, like, you can avoid it for now, but it's going to come later on. And I would rather.
I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah, I would rather suffer now. I'd rather be embarrassed now than later on.
I mean, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. I mean, to be honest, you have a pretty, normal position. I don't think that's I mean, depends where you live, I suppose. Like, probably, you know, this position where I live, like in Brooklyn or something, is probably, you know, you're going to get a lot more. But I mean, look, like, anecdotally, when I started doing comedy, there was no such thing as like an openly Christian comedian. Like, it was unheard of. Yeah. If you were like an openly Christian comedian, you were relegated to like, you do like clean Christian comedy. And you were like in this box of like, you're not like you could never be like a mainstream comedian. You're like a clean Christian comedian. And, you know, you probably do these weird events and stuff. And like, but you never go to a club on a Friday night and see a Christian comedian, like someone who's like openly Christian comedian. That was non-existent. And now it's like tons of them. It's honestly
really
like, tons. Yeah. There's tons of comedians now.
Wow.
It's probably in the last 5 years or so, maybe 8 years or something, where comedians will just come out and be like, Nate Bargatze biggest comedian in the fucking world, or one of them. He's the biggest touring act in America. He's just like, yeah, he's openly very Christian. He's like, goes to church, all that stuff. I mean, there's lots of them, and that never existed. Like when I started comedy, that was unheard of.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably, I don't know, I'm guessing it's probably a little bit harder to be a Christian comedian because you can, as a comedian, as a secular comedian, you can use dirty jokes about, sex and whatever. But I feel like as a Christian comedian, like you've got to dive a little bit deeper if you're, convicted.
So I will say these, Nate is like, he's a clean comedian anyways, so this doesn't affect him. But like there are comedians who are like, yeah, I'm a dirty comedian. Like I'm not the greatest Christian, but I'm even Joe Rogan's just like started going to church, like stuff like that, where you're like, yeah, I'm not like die hard, but I do the stuff. Like I'm not just like Christmas and Easter kind of guy.
Well, I'm curious because like I watched some of your stuff and I watched some of Ryan's stuff, and like you're a little bit cleaner. And is that because of your wife? Is that because you have some kind of convictions? Is that just your style?
No. I mean, I'm not. For anybody who see me live, like I'm not particularly clean. I mean, no. Maybe just the clips you saw, but like I definitely have. Like if you watch my special I have on YouTube, it's not particularly clean. I don't have any like gratuitous like sex stuff. I don't know, kind of. I probably did enough. I used to have jokes like that, and then like my parents would come to shows, and I'd like be doing some gross sex joke, and my mom's in the audience. I'm like, okay, I'm maybe not going to do that anymore. Yeah, but yeah. I'm not specifically clean. I mean, I'm definitely not clean. It's my life would be easier if I was. Anyways, I gotta let you go, Eli. But it was good as always. Good talking to you. Have a good one. All right, we're gonna take one more call, and then we're gonna wrap this up. This man I've wanting to talk to. Haven't talked to him in
what's up,
a minute. What's up, Maurice? Hold on 1 second. I just gotta patch you into the show, and then you're gonna get muted, and then I'm gonna unmute you. One second, please. There we go. Maurice, long time.
Yo, what's up, Danny? Yes, sir. Yeah, glad I was able to catch the show live now.
Yeah, how you doing?
Doing good. I did, so quick things since I know it's late. I did stumble into a taboo subject that both my conservative and liberal friends reacted very intensely to.
Okay, let's hear it.
Have you seen the news story that came out over the weekend about the Minnesota parents being charged second-degree murder for their kid being too fat for child neglect?
I did see that, yeah.
And I was very pro that. I think if you have like a morbidly obese child, it should be considered child neglect to levels. Both sets of friends were like, that's ridiculous, and were upset.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that goes back to like, yeah, I don't know what, like if there's a BMI, because obviously you can starve your kids to a point where like Child Protective Services will take them away. I don't, like, is there a level where your kid is too fat where the state will intervene and like is allowed to intervene? There should be, probably.
Yeah. So with this kid, they don't say specifically what he was doing. I think just since he was a minor, but he was doing something. Then he had a cardiac event. So a 7-year-old had a heart attack.
Yeah, no 7-year-old should have a fucking heart attack. But yeah, I mean, you could presumably get a kid so fat that it would like start stressing out their body and like put stress on their heart and stuff. I was looking on Instagram yesterday, and there was some kid. He was like this 1-year-old kid. He must have been he was 1, and it was just like some woman being like, "Yeah, look at my 1-year-old. Like he's so funny." He must have been like 80 pounds. It was crazy. He was huge.
Dude, that's crazy.
He was.
That's crazy.
Huge kid. And people were like, yeah, this kid's gonna, like, a lot of the comments were like, yeah, you better watch out. This kid's gonna have some problems.
Well, I don't think I've definitely seen people, but I always assumed it was super rare, but maybe not so much like people just put like Coca-Cola in a bottle and like give it to a kid.
I mean, look, the number one thing, you generally you see some kid who's fucking way overweight and 90% of the time you look at their parents and they're the same because.
Oh,
either,
yeah. I've never seen
just,
in shape, like, CrossFit people with an obese kid.
No. Like, definitely, like, it exists where, like, a parent is skinny and, like, for whatever reason, like, their kid has, like, the fucking fat gene. I mean, you know what? I'm, like, my parents are both kind of skinny. And, like, I was the aberration in my family. Not that I was, like, fucking morbidly obese or anything, but, like, yeah. Normally when you see some kid who's, like, really, really obese, it's like, yeah, because the parents think it's normal to just eat, like, you know, Doritos and macaroni and cheese for dinner every fucking night and wash it down with like 2 liters of Coke, and they just don't know any better, and they don't know anything about nutrition, and they don't really teach you about nutrition in school for some reason, and that's just like what they do.
Exactly, that there's nothing the parents the parents have no responsibility, and I do feel a little iffy about like giving the state that level of control.
Well, the thing is you have to decide. And I don't know if this will, like with the fat kid, like if the parents will actually be convicted, but like I guess you would have to be like, yeah, there's like a BMI level, and everything up to this point is acceptable, and anything over this is child abuse. And probably a normal person would look to, like, if you're at that threshold below, you'd be like, that's also child abuse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I have thought about incentives to try to get, because like child obesity is so high that it's to the point where like if a kid just wants to play a sport, that there should just be a tax rebate given to the parents. Like, get whatever equipment the kid needs and you'll just get it back immediately. Just so like the kids could start moving again.
I mean, generally when you're that fat though, you just need to walk. Like it's purely dietary. Yeah. It's like, but then you have this weird thing in America where you're like, if you want your kid to be an offensive lineman, like you better have him start eating. Like it goes.
But that goes with working out though. Those are like the fit fat people.
That's true. But you do see someone like you do sometimes see like in some high school like offensive lineman, and it's like a fucking 16-year-old and he's 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure he's in okay shape. I wouldn't say he's healthy per se.
And he would probably drop weight pretty quickly if you just quit football too.
Yes.
Like he's eating for the football.
Yeah, he's eating for the football. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do agree that like there's probably some point where you're like, yeah, this is child abuse, but we don't, I mean, yeah, we do. Yeah. We don't make that distinction as a society. It's just like, you can't starve your kid, but you can fatten them up as much as you would like with zero repercussion.
Do I have time for a quick AI topic? It's about dirty secrets since I work in the industry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sweet. So you brought up China earlier in the show, and kind of how like they're doing like good propaganda for like, look how good we are.
Yeah.
And that extends to AI. China's the only one producing, but also have the best open weight LLM models, like to the point now that DeepSeek, but Quinn's also a very big one. To the point now that non like hard tech companies that aren't in the Magnificent Seven, they're all using Chinese models because they're so much cheaper. I saw that
Microsoft, because we were looking at Microsoft in the Not Financial Advice live stream, and Microsoft came out and they're like, I don't know if they're saying, because they had some crazy deal, like some $100 billion deal with OpenAI, but I think they're saying that they're moving over to DeepSeek.
Yeah, so Microsoft gave OpenAI pretty much just direct access to Azure for all their compute systems. And even with direct access priority, is just too expensive for even Microsoft, who has other verticals besides AI. Like, they have things to backstop themselves.
Right.
But there's no good American open weight model. So all these companies are turning to Chinese technology. And there is something that, like, we really don't know what they're fully trained on or what, like, the true back end is. So, like, maybe these models are doing something under the hood that we don't even know about yet.
Probably. I mean, you would have to think so. That's why, like, you know, you see people talking about this, like, AI race. And Andrew Yang was talking about it, where, like, you know, I don't know if it's existential necessarily for the country, but like you want to win. You definitely, as a country, like
you definitely. From my point of view, if it was truly existential, we should be building nuclear plants and like paving Arizona with solar, just so we could have the energy to start powering things when we get there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know what they're doing with, the problem with China is there's no regulation. So they don't run it by some committee to see if it's a good idea.
Yeah.
They just go do it. And they're like, all right, if it's not a good idea, then whatever.
Yeah, they'll just kill the person. They're like, well, you were in charge of it. You're supposed to make it a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. You failed. You disgraced your country, and now you die.
Yep.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how this. I keep seeing kind of. I mean, the memory stuff. I don't know if you follow all the memory companies.
Yeah.
Like Apple.
Yeah, so I work in token acquisition.
Okay.
So we're trying to get a handle. So once we switched over to per token pricing, just me as an individual, my own cost went up 6x. So we're now trying to get a handle on things. They're like, this is too expensive, and we can't define any real return on investment to see if it's worth spending it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Excuse me. Yeah, the Apple just raised the cost, the price of all their things, all the because there's RAM prices or whatever through the roof. Excuse me, I got the hiccups.
And the big three memory producers, they've already said they're not increasing capacity.
Yeah, well, I don't think they can. Oh man, this hiccups are weird.
Not at the rate that we're burning, but they don't even think it's not even worth investing 10 years into a factory.
Why? Because they don't know if they're going to need it?
Exactly. Because they're not confident that are you still going to need this memory in 10 years, or is this just a tightening at the moment, but then supply will go back once we're over this initial hump.
Weird. Yeah. Well, I mean, I see Microsoft or Micron and SanDisk stocks are going insane.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right. I gotta let you go. I gotta wrap this up. I have the hiccups all of a sudden for some reason.
Hey, good talking to you, Danny. Have a good night.
Later, buddy. All right. That's been the show. Jared says, dude wore a bra. That's hilarious. LOL. All right. I don't know why I have the hiccups all of a sudden. Bizarre. All right. That's been the show. Thank you very much. Oh, my God. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. Hiccups are involuntary. This is a first. This is certainly a first for the show. Apologize for the format tonight. We will get Gerard. We'll figure this out with his computer because this is a fucking pain in the ass. That's been the show. Support the show at patreon.com/lowvaluemail, MAIL. And we'll do the Not Financial Advice live stream Wednesday morning. I'll post it in the group chat. This is insane. We'll post it. We'll post it in the group chat. It'll be probably around 10 a.m., something like that. So we will see you then. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. This is bizarre. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I'm sure all of you have, but if you haven't, just do it. All right. Good night, everybody. Oops.
You know it, all my shit heroic. Empathic abilities, yeah, my face be also stoic. Bleep, blow up, nigga, that just means I'm working. They see me as a leader, so that's why I'm Captain Kirkin. These tracks from the stars, that much is for certain. You can feel this hit if you up or if you hurt. I'm raising my stock, not talking my feet in some Birkin. Number Johnny 5, got a fucking short circuit. Bring the track to life when I spit phenomenal. When I hit, she feel that shit in her abdominals. These rappers make me laugh like comic view, they comic through. You know I got a ball out, I hit the track running just like Sonic do. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, and they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, now we pulling up fresh on some flight shit. Ha. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, then they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah.